Welcome to MELfeed.video. We are commencing a live web stream service via youtube.com from Melbourne, Australia. We currently conduct these streams mainly on Wednesday evenings, with other times to be added as more opportunities arise. Please visit our website at MELfeed.video for further information. This web video project presents old and new community TV programs. Please enjoy your stay with MELfeed.video.
Hi and welcome to tonight's MELfeed transmission, which is number 19 for the 20th of June. And tonight we're going to start off with NAT Chat as usual, and that'll be followed by the return of Inline Plus, which we're streaming for a second time. And then we'll be going on with our usual programs, Harmony University, Red Lobster, and etc. etc. So we'll start off with NAT Chat, and we'll see you again a little bit later on in the night.
Welcome to MELfeed.video. We are commencing a live web stream service via youtube.com from Melbourne, Australia.
Welcome to NAT Chat. Today on our program we have Professor Jim Poteet, who has coached throughout the US in the Southern District, has 2 championship rings in that region of the Nazarene. He's a lecturer in 6 different universities. Jim, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me here today. It's great to be back in Australia.
Yes, we know that you're a regular visitor here. This is your 6th time, I believe.
Yes, I don't know that you'd say I'm a regular visitor here. I first came 47 years ago this month. 1967 was my first time here. I came with a basketball team and we played all throughout Australia, and I've been back several times since then.
Wonderful. Well, you are quite a huge name in basketball in America, and you know some of the big names of basketball here. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background in basketball and in education?
Well, first of all, I was born in Texas, and when I see the boots that you have on, I know that you know a little bit about Texas. But my educational background, I have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctoral degree, all in the physical education sport management field. I've played basketball since I was a young boy. I played college basketball in the United States, and then I've been fortunate to travel almost all over the world, both playing basketball and coaching basketball.
Oh, that's wonderful. I believe recently, Jim, you've also been inducted in the Hall of Fame in basketball in the southern area of southern region of the US. Is that right? Well,
there are 2 college organizations in the United States. There's the NCAA and the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, and the NAIA is made up of smaller universities. And yes, this past April, I was inducted into the Hall of Fame there.
That's a great accolade, and I think you've got a great ring to show for your achievements. Welcome to Australia, as I said. Can you tell us your purpose of being here in this country, what you hope to connect with? And I know you know some people here who are very high in the sport of basketball. Can you tell us a little bit about your visit here to Australia this time?
Well, I again came this time to do a few things in basketball. We did a clinic a couple of weeks ago in Brisbane, and had 35 young boys and girls in a clinic. Had all that we wanted to have there. But my background, coming here 47 years ago, I really began to understand the game of basketball here. I've watched it develop. I met some of the real pioneers of basketball in this country. Lindsey Gaze, who played on the 1956 Olympic team for Australia when Australia hosted the Olympics, and then became the Olympic coach for many years. And then, of course, who became more famous than Lindsay was his son, Andrew Gaze, who played in America. And then another Olympic coach, Barry Barnes, who came from the Melbourne area and who now works at the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra.
So you know these people well, and you come often and you greet them. But you also mentioned that your association with the youth in basketball. Tell us a little bit about what you hope to achieve with the youth in basketball and through your background.
Well, you know, there are two sports that I think make for great starting in a sport, and that's soccer and basketball. They both are games that are easier to learn. They're not violent. And so the game of basketball is just a fun thing for any youngster to learn. It takes developing skills. It takes developing some discipline to learn the skills of the game. And so when I've been here in Australia, I've always had the opportunity to do clinics, to get into the schools, to get into the clubs. And so I've developed a real love and a real appreciation of the Aussie basketball community.
Yes, and it's a rich, very hungry for sport and basketball from the US, and you have an audience that, as you say, has captured your attention, and you want to work with them. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of work you want to do within the basketball and what impact on the youth in their lives you'd like to make?
Well, one of the things you can do when you are dealing with youth in a sport is they'll listen to you. And that's great when they will listen. So you talk to them about things like, hey, do well in your studies. You need to be well educated. You can't just play all the time. You can talk to them about discipline. You can talk to them about living a life that you eat well, you rest well. You have to have some determination. You need some character. One of the things I've been able to do in the U.S. is help develop a program in the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics called the Champions of Character. And we talk about different aspects of character, such as discipline, such as integrity, such as servant leadership. I think sport is good for developing character if you use it in a teaching method.
Yes, of course, and character and discipline, that it seems to attract young people in sport, but not so much outside sport. How do you make that connection in everyday life?
I'm not sure where you are heading with that question, but you know, in everyday life, you've got to live a life that is meaningful. I think that's important. You know, we're here on Earth for 70 years, maybe, or more, and you want to live a life that has purpose, it has meaning, that you can look back at the end of your life and say that I accomplished something while I was here. And you know, I'm a bit over 70 now, and I can look back and say I've had many, many great opportunities.
And you look great. What I meant is that when you discipline a young person in character, as you say, outside the sport, it is difficult. But I believe that within the sport environment, discipline and character might be an easier message to get across to the youth. Is that correct?
I think that's correct. And of course, part of the reason is because when somebody is playing a sport, they tend to be highly motivated. And when one is highly motivated, they're going to listen. They're going to try to do the things because sport captures great attention throughout the world, and especially in your country. I've never seen a country that's so sport crazy.
Thank you, Jim. We're going to take a short break. You're watching NAT Chat, and we'll be with you shortly.
The thing I love about Australia is our spirit of mateship and togetherness. And whether it's a drought, a flood or a bushfire, when times are tough, Australians stick together. Well, I'll be spending Australia Day at Tamworth with 40,000 country music mates. It brings people together to celebrate our music and our great country.
Get together on Australia Day. Go to australiaday.org.au to find out how.
Transports of Distant Delight is a mixed selection of transportation pictures from here and there and almost everywhere, but not quite. Some quirky, some mundane, some from the past, perhaps reflecting a transit system that has vanished into history, and some from thriving transport entities that continue to endure despite the constant pressures from the all-pervasive motor car. Enjoy.
Wednesday at 10 p.m. on MELfeed.video.
It was a dark and stormy night in a bar over a strawberry margarita. Steve and Jacqueline had time to kill, so they decided to slaughter it. The result, 15 fabulous minutes. You be the judge.
Every new line means 2 more hands. Join us, lions.org.au.
Welcome back to NAT Chat. With us is Professor of Sports Management Jim Poteet. And welcome back, Jim. We were talking about basketball and how big the sport is in Australia and the impact that the sport has. Can you give us a little bit of background as to how basketball was born and how did it was instigated? We know that it started in America, but tell us a little bit of the history of sport.
Well, you know, basketball isn't really a very old game. It's only about 125 years old, but it was invented in the state of Massachusetts in the U.S. at the YMCA training school. And the YMCA training school, which stood for Young Men's Christian Association, was there to learn about sport, but also to teach character.
Okay.
And there was a student at the school named James Naismith. And one of his assignments in the classroom was to develop a sport that could be played indoors. Well, he looked around inside of a gymnasium and he saw a running track up around the gymnasium, and he had the idea, well, if we took a ball and we had something we could throw that ball into, then we could have a sport. So he found a couple of peach baskets. They nailed them to the side of the running track, and he wrote the rules of the game one night, and they played the game the next day.
Oh.
And the first game, the score was 1-0.
1-0.
Yes.
It took a long time.
But the game of basketball is a sport then that began to be taken around the world in 2 ways. One by American Army troops during the wars and as they were in different countries, but also by the Young Men's Christian Association. It was brought around the world. And so it's kind of interesting that the game started in a character-based setting.
Okay. So I sense that you're saying that there's a history of Christian background, and the idea or the purpose was to bring out discipline and character within the youth and the community, and that's how basketball was assigned.
It was, and it was to be played in the times when the weather wasn't good. And that's why, in America anyway, our basketball season is during our wintertime. But you know what's happened in your country, and as I talk to some of my friends here, Lindsay Gaze and Barry Barnes, they say that at the grassroots level, it's become a year-round game here.
It's played all the time, everywhere.
Yeah.
We see it in basketball fields all over the country. And it has a huge impact, as you say, and also it has an impact on personality of character and discipline with the youth. What impact have you experienced in those 2 traits of personality and character and discipline in the youth?
Well, I can give you probably a good example. One of my first university coaching jobs, I recruited to come to our school a young man out of inner city Chicago. I was coaching out in the Los Angeles area then, and this young man came to us from inner city Chicago, and he had not been around outside the African American culture very much. He had grown up in a setting where he hadn't had a lot of experiences, but he came to Southern California and began to study, and he was a very, very fine basketball player. And in fact, I brought him out here to Australia 3 different times on teams, and he played here. His name was Ron Johnson, and he was a wonderful basketball player. But as I watched him grow and mature, I saw that sport helped him be disciplined. It helped him to become a good student. I also remember one time when he was in an English class, and the English professor was a little concerned about Ron's ability to pass his class. And I remember having a conversation with that English professor and saying, hey, this young man needs an opportunity. Give him an opportunity. He'll make it. He said, well, I don't know if he'll make it. Maybe he just needs to drop out of the university and go back home and go to work. Well, if you fast forward that story till today, that young man has 3 master's degrees. He has a PhD in counseling psychology. Mm-hmm. He is a tremendous expert in biofeedback in the U.S., and he is constantly speaking at conferences and working with young people and in teaching. And so I found that sport helped that young man become the person that he is today.
Yeah, wonderful. And it seems to work with the youth because you have a captive audience. Basketball is a strong sport amongst youth. And as you just expressed a lovely story of a young man who used sport, and in particular basketball, to achieve great achievements. Why is basketball in particular such a draw? Has such a draw with the youth?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. First of all, you can put up a basketball goal almost anywhere. You can put one up at home in the driveway or in your yard. You can go to the schoolyard and there's an outdoor court there, or you can go to the indoor place. But the game is easy to play. You can play by yourself. Mm-hmm. You can shoot baskets and you don't have to have anybody to play with. Or you can play against one other person. A regular game of basketball only takes 5 players. So the game does not require a tremendous amount of space to play, and that's good. And the game is easy to play. When I say it's easy to play, it isn't easy to learn the skills to play, but the game is not very complex. I was watching a cricket game last night, and I'm trying to understand the game of cricket, and I'm not understanding it yet, but I think if you watched a game of basketball, you'd understand pretty quickly.
Thanks, Jim. So you're saying because it's so easy to access and it has no status attached to it, like anyone can play it, and also because it's easy to understand, it has a following based on the simplicity of the sport and how easily accessible it is. Well, we could talk a little bit more, but we're just going to take another short break, Jim, and we'll get back to you. You're watching NAT Chat. We're taking a short break and be with you shortly.
Sport is for everyone.
No matter who you are or where you're from.
There's no place for discrimination in sport.
And everyone should feel welcome, safe,
respected and get a fair go.
Whether you're a player, a spectator, a coach or an official.
What do you want from your sport?
Are you ready to make a difference? Sport is for everyone.
And everyone starts with you.
Keep your sport inclusive,
safe, fair and fun.
For more information, go to playbytherules.net.au.
Here is some brilliant news for adults who have difficulties with spelling, reading a newspaper or phone bill, or writing letters and emails. It can be easier to improve your reading and writing skills than to keep putting it off. Take the plunge. Call the Reading Writing Hotline, 1300 655 06.
1300 655 06.
It could change your life.
Go head on into the fast-paced world of roller sports.
Come on, keep up.
So tell us about your skating and your experience.
Inline Plus introduces you to the world of roller sports in all its forms.
we are actually going to catch up with 4 members of the Australian team.
Very pleased to skate because the surface is quite smooth.
So get your skates on.
Inline Plus.
Coming up next on MELfeed.video.
Welcome back to NAT Chat. With us is Professor of Sports Management, Jim Botit. Jim, we were talking about your visits here to Australia and that you've been here 6 other times. I believe you have, you'd like to establish something here in Australia with the youth. You'd like to connect with them in some way. What would be your dream and aspirations for your visits, and what would you like to achieve through a sport, and in particular basketball?
Well, your basketball setting, especially at the grassroots level, is very strong in this country. You have clubs in all the major areas of the country. And one of the dreams, I would think, is if we could find university graduates in the U.S. that would like to spend a couple of years in Australia, come and join a club, a basketball club, play basketball on the top level of that club, but also have a real passion for teaching the game of basketball. Take the young boys and girls, under 8, under 10, under 12, under 14, begin to help them develop the game at a greater level. One thing that's happened in the U.S. is there are a lot of really good Aussie basketball players who have come to the U.S. and played at the university level, and in fact playing at the top levels in America now in the National Basketball Association. We just had the NBA World Championships, and an Aussie named Patty Mills was an outstanding player in the championship game when he made 17 points and he hit 5 out of 7 3-pointers. And I heard just last week while traveling here that he signed a very big contract next year in the NBA. I think something like $13 million for 3 years. So one thing that could happen here is develop some more Patty Mills. And you got to teach the game to have that happen. And so if the game could be taught and it could be done by us bringing some American university graduates here, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, other than the accolades that basketball has, which are great, you mentioned Patty Mills and other names such as the Gaze family, are there any other concerns or any other teachings that you'd like to bring to the youth other than the accolades of basketball? I know that you're a philanthropist and you'd like to bring the youth into a place of, as you said earlier on, of character and discipline. Can you tell us a little bit about other than the accolades of basketball, some of the character building that basketball can bring?
Well, when you're teaching young people the game of basketball, you can always talk to them about other things that are more important in life. And sport is important.
Yes.
It's extremely important to you Australian people, but there's life after sport. And if you can talk to them about getting an education, you gotta make a living later on in life. So you need an education. You need to be a person that has a good character, that people can depend on. You're responsible. You go to work someday, you've got to show up on time.
Yes.
You've got to do all the things that are a part of that. You have to have integrity. People need to believe in you. They need to know they can trust you. And I think sport can bring that kind of teaching to it as just a part of it.
Okay. And what would the mechanisms of creating such an environment here in this country? How you've mentioned that having seminars and having groups with college basketballers from the US come over and taking part. Is that what your dream is, to create something like that here in this country?
I think we could create something like that here, and I think it would be something that could be a real legacy that you would like to leave here. Of course, the key to that is we got to find some people that are here already that would say, "Hey, this is something that will work. We'll help you put this together." Fortunately, I've made some good connections here over the years, and when I've made those connections, I think those people can help open the door. And so often it's not what you know, but it's who you know.
Exactly. And as we said earlier on, we have a captive audience who, in this state in particular, Victoria, as you know, is very hungry for sport, and in particular basketball. So the audience is there, and you're talking about getting, particularly with the youth, you have an affiliation with the youth and the grassroots of basketball. What impact do you think, or what drives you to be so interested in the youth? I sense there's another drive behind just basketball that it's in your part of your life.
Well, one thing that's been important to me has been my relationship with God, my relationship with a personal God. And the first times that I came to Australia, I came with a team called Venture for Victory. And our whole idea in Venture for Victory was to share our Christian faith. And that was important. And that has led me to want to be able to share something that's good in my life with others.
Oh, that's very interesting. So you're saying your faith has given you the desire to pass on the gift that you received in basketball to others, and not only in basketball itself, but some of life's difficult periods of life and amongst the youth. So you're hoping to achieve for the youth a game of sport and basketball, and you're also trying to build up character and discipline amongst the youth, and you're trying to do it in our hometown. Well, we love you, Jim. We want you to stay here for a lot longer. How long is your visit here?
Well, this time it's 3 weeks, and that's it's a long time away from home, but it's not long enough to really get to do all the things you want to do, but a real opportunity. I really like Australia. I like the Aussie people. One of the things that you notice here is you don't have a cultural divide. I almost think you guys are part of America sometimes.
Yes. We're closely aligned. Very interesting to hear that, again, about your faith and the way you want to bring back, through your faith, bring back integrity and character in young people. We'd love to hear more on that topic. Can you tell us what your achievement would mean to the community and to the youth here?
Well, I think if we could do something like this, I don't think it would be anything but a positive impact. And what you want to do when you're teaching, when you're around people, is you want to make a positive impact. You don't want to make a negative impact. And anytime you do the right thing, you're probably going to make a positive
Well, thank
impact.
you, Jim. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for the gift that you have in sport and the love that you have for this country. We'd love to see you more, but we've run out of time. Thank you once again. You've been watching NAT Chat, and we'll be with you again next week.
Live stream from Melbourne each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
Inline Plus brought to you by Bayside Blades, Australia's inline skating specialist.
G'day guys, welcome to the very first episode of Inline Plus as I regain my balance. On today's show we've got Naomi Griggs who's going to bust us some of her freestyle moves. At the back of the show, Adelaide Roller Derby are going to show us all things derby. But right now, here's Jason Sutcliffe Rollerboy with a very sentimental skate. Hope you enjoy.
We're here today at Caribbean Rollerama to catch up with Laura Hugarts, who's out there as we speak, and she's preparing a special little presentation for her husband, and we're going to catch up with her now and find out what all the mystery's about. There she is. You're preparing for the big day? So just tell us a little bit about what you're actually doing.
I'm doing a very special show for my husband's very special birthday. A dance routine that I've prepared just for this particular event.
How gorgeous is that? Good on you, Laura.
Thank you.
Well, it's not as exclusive as we thought it might be. Laura actually has a fan club here and all her friends are here to support her. So you're all here for Laura?
We are. We've known Laura for a long time, since we all started skating in 1994.
Wow, 1994. So you've all been at it for quite a while? You all look young and gorgeous.
Do we? You're not too bad yourself.
Oh, thank you. I could find myself a new partner. So what should we expect from Laura today?
Triple axles. Anything we find.
Triple axles. Triple axles?
To look beautiful and impress her husband.
That's the thing. Love. Isn't it gorgeous?
It's wonderful.
And you're a skater as well.
Of course, everybody is. Anybody is a skater.
Any clues about the performance?
I think it's just a mix of freestyle and dance and a bit of a dedication for Laura's love to Louis, basically.
Oh, she's very nervous.
Well, the suspense is almost over. Laura's about to perform her routine, so let's give it up for Laura.
Today we are celebrating your very special birthday.
How did you feel seeing Mum out there?
Yeah, it was a bit nerve-wracking. She's been practicing for a while, so I think there was a lot riding on her performance. I think Dad really loved it though.
This tops the lot.
Lara, that was fantastic. How do you feel now that you've finished?
Much relieved. I'm very proud that I've done it. I'm very proud that I've taken it on, and I love doing these little routines. There's a lot of pressure though.
Well, we loved it too, and you looked absolutely gorgeous, and we're all really proud of you.
Whoa! I enjoyed it.
Enjoy the
Thank
party.
you. I will.
Roller Derby is back and it's massive. Inline Plus has exclusive behind-the-scenes interviews each and every week on the show. But nothing beats being there live. If you haven't been to a Derby bout as yet, here's only a small sample of what you're missing out on.
Running around in my head, trying so
More Inline Plus after this.
Inline Plus brought to you by Bayside Blades, Australia's inline skating specialist.
Do you currently have a community service announcement on free-to-air television? If you do, you can now submit it to us as well via our website at MELfeed.video. We have lots of time to fill on these broadcasts, and we are sure to give your announcement a great run on MELfeed.video.
Hi, I'm Lane Beachley. Australians have recycled enough printer cartridges to cover Bondi Beach 12 times. That's kept 11,000 tonnes of valuable resources out of landfill. Drop your used original cartridges into the special boxes at participating retail outlets, and they'll be turned into new products from pens to road surfaces. Help us keep up the good work. Find out more at cartridges.planetart.org.
Every time you shop, the choices you make affect our community. It is important to select Australian products made by Aussie-owned companies. Our food security means quality and peace of mind. Your purchasing power keeps your dollars multiplying in our economy, keeping jobs, profits and decisions being made right here, which is better for your children.
So the next time you buy, look for the AusBuy logo. It makes all the difference.
The new website for Inline Plus TV is natsport.tv/Inline Plus.
This is Barrelhouse Bessie with Adelaide Roller Derby, and we're here on Thursday night for training at Woodville, South Australia. Yeah. A lot of people think about roller derby and they think it's a spectacle. What's so competitive about roller derby is that it's a sport, and it's a sport where women get to be individuals as well as being athletes. And that's what's great about roller derby and it being a full-on competitive sport. Adelaide Roller Derby is cool because we like to skate, we like to knock each other around, and we like to look cute while we're doing it. Most girls get started in roller derby by just buying a pair of skates. And that's what gets you started, because as soon as you put on a pair of skates, you smile. There are no prerequisites there are no prerequisites to being a roller derby girl, except having a gung-ho attitude and having the self-confidence to fall on your bum.
I'm happy I'm up here, and I think you should be very happy you're out there behind that barricade.
When we have a national competition, Adelaide Roller Derby is going to kick the rest of Australia's ass. Woo! I have been so lucky to originally be from Austin, Texas, where I got to watch roller derby come back to life in 2000. And lucky for me, I've moved to Australia. The sister city, Adelaide, which nobody really knows, is the sister city to Austin, Texas. So not only is an Austin girl moving into Adelaide, Adelaide's gonna have a roller derby team, and the captain of the Texas Roller Derby, who's from Austin, the sister city, is going to come train us, which is amazing. So we're getting trained by the Austin, Texas Roller Derby League, which means we're going to be as good as they are.
And Bessie's coming around again.
77. Smarting the house downside. Pack your battles.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Inline Plus. We're joined by Naomi Grigg, who is a freestyle slalom skating expert, if you allow me to use that term.
No problem.
Now, you obviously go all over the world and teach people how to slalom and freestyle. How do you prepare for a class like that, or how do you prepare teaching them?
It depends the level that I'm teaching. Absolute beginner slalomers nowadays, I actually don't prepare at all. I just turn up and make sure that I know everybody's name and background. For the more advanced skaters, I have to know exactly where they're at. I have to have seen some of their skating and have to have a lot of moves, because then they get a bit of choice as well.
How do you work between different levels of the skating ability? There was a lot of cones going down this weekend, I can assure you that.
Yes, always cones going down, whatever the level. The higher the level, often the more cones. Yeah, people tend to work together on different moves, so some of the class will be working on something more basic, some of the class something more advanced, and one or two people I'm just causing a lot of pain to with really difficult moves. Down, down earlier, down, down, down.
Now you're all over Australia, you're here in Melbourne. How's Melbourne been? How's the class been this weekend for you?
It's been so sunny. And the class has been great. A year ago in Melbourne, people were coming to do slalom for the first time and they weren't sure if they'd enjoy it. And some of them did and some of them didn't, and some came back. This time, everybody is a lot more interested in slalom. It's really great to see people learning all the stuff that I learnt, and sometimes I teach people to actually be better than me, and that's actually kind of more rewarding in a funny kind of way. Air time, yeah. So it's air, air. I got a so it's kicked up in front of you. Yes.
What's going for you this weekend?
Yeah, the class is going great this weekend. It's a great view, obviously, a lot of people, so great advertisement. And yeah, we have fun.
How you finding the slalom today, Grant?
Oh, got a lot of muscles that are tired and complaining, but I'm doing things today that if you told me I was if you told me yesterday I'd be doing these things today, I wouldn't have believed you. So it's certainly improved my skating a bit, but yeah, the old bones and old muscles aren't what they used to be. So I'm really tired and really exhausted.
I'll go home and I'll start working on all my moves, trying to get them all smooth and everything, and then I'll go out and have a bit of a play with it. Should be fun.
Oh, I'm going to try and go on.
You're watching Inline Plus.
Whoa! Whew, that was pretty close. Okay, that was Inline Plus for another week. Hey guys, thanks heaps for joining us. More jam-packed Inline Plus next week. Enjoy your skating and bye for now. Go!
Hey, how's it going?
Hop in the front.
Nice tattoo.
Hop in the front.
Get your shirt off, John.
Coming up after the break, John Power takes off his shirt. You can't wait to see it, can you?
Newport Skate Meet. I'm Robbie Pitts, I'm the organiser of these things. Newport Skate Park on North Road. These skate meets happen, once a month kind of thing. The idea is just to get all the Melbourne rollerblading community together, just have a good time, just promote good, positive fun. Got a range of people. You got like a lot of the older skaters who don't really get to skate very much. So they come out like once a month. Anyone's welcome to come down. Great day today. Really nice park. It's really, really good if you've never come down to one of these things. Come down. You can check them out on MSC. All about having good, positive fun. Check the edit.
Well, it wouldn't been, couldn't been worse than you would ever know. On the dashboard melted, but we still have the radio. Oh, should have been, could have been worse than you would ever know. Well, you told me about nowhere. Well, it sounds like some place I'd like to go. Oh, could have been, should have been worse than you would ever know. Well, the windshield was broken, but I love the fresh air, It's a capture and black box is the
Inline Plus brought to you by Bayside Blades, Australia's inline skating specialist.
Wednesday at 10 p.m. on MELfeed.video.
15 fabulous minutes every week
On MELfeed.video.
Meet the famous, the fortunate and the fashionable as Steve and Jacqueline take you to all the events around town. Not to be missed, it's the most fabulous 15 minutes you'll ever see.
Behind every great athlete, there is a great support network. Australian Athletes with a Disability and Wheelchair Sports Australia help athletes realise their full potential.
Gonna go from 3, yes!
No matter their ability, we're there to support them. Sporting opportunities for all abilities. For more information, visit sports.org.au.
So how have things been going?
When a young person is diagnosed with cancer, it affects their family, their friends, their entire world. Red Kite supports young people with cancer and those around them in real ways.
Yeah, hi, it's Michael. Yeah, I'm at the hospital.
We rely on your generosity to make a positive difference in the lives of thousands of families every year. We can't always make things better, but with your help, we can lighten the load.
Alright, we're at the second spot, Lygon Street Ledges. Got a few people tagged along, some other people went home, but that's how it is. Some people are still trekking it out, so chill skate on these ledges. Still a nice day, so it's good. Peep it.
Last laugh on this show.
It like a skull balloon. I believe in us, so put the pedal down and turn your high beams off. And I dial in your number, hoping that you're awake. It's a loss sometimes, but that's the risk that I'll take. I believe in us. I believe in us. So put your diamonds up for auction, but don't kiss me. I won't let you
Inline Plus was brought to you by Bayside Blades, Australia's inline skating specialist.
Live stream from Melbourne each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
Alleluia. Om Mani Padme. Om. Allah.
Welcome to Harmony and Diversity. Norm Curry is my name, and today I'm speaking with Sheikh Mohammed Wahid, who's the President of the Islamic Association of Australia. Thanks for making yourself available, Sheikh.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Now, one of the questions that I want to ask you relates immediately to your term of Sheikh. From looking at Islam, there are so many different. There's mullahs and there's imams. Could you spend some time explaining what the difference is between all of those?
Well, there are different terminology being used in Islamic culture in different countries. If we go to Persia, especially in Iran, Afghanistan, in those areas, people are called those religious authorities, the scholars, the graduated from Islamic institutes, mullahs. And basically they could be imam of the mosque as well, and at the same time they are religious figures in the community to guide the people regarding Islamic issues. So if you come to the Arab countries or Arab culture background, they use the sheikh word for those people who are religious community, leaders in the community, and imam in the masjid as well. Similarly, imam could be use this terminology for two type of people in the Islamic faith. One on a higher level, like the imam of the whole Muslim community, such as caliph in Islamic faith. And the other one is the person who leads the prayer in the mosque. Basically, it could be even a layman person if there is no qualified scholar in the community. You are traveling somewhere and 2 or 3 people together, one could be the imam to lead the prayer. So that person could call imam as well. And at the same time, we have people appointed by the community organization in the mosque. Basically, they are called imam as well because they lead the prayer. At the same time, they provide any assistance and advice to the community as well. So they are also called imam. Basically, any educated person in Islamic faith can become imam in the masjid. But on the higher level, imam is really someone who has the authority to speak on behalf of Islamic faith. So in different countries, you can say there are different terminology are being used for the religious person.
But that has implications, doesn't it, from a media point of view?
That's
because
right,
imam having such a wide range of meanings and applications.
Right, yes.
The imam at the top of that, the coordinating, is there any way of distinguishing? Are they called differently? Is the title different, or is it?
As I mentioned before, nowadays we have a Muslim community coming from the diverse background. We have Somalian community, we have Pakistani community, we have Arab community. So within that community, we have someone who has learned Islam from the traditional institutes and gained the title of Imam, the Sheikh, are the religious leader in that community, are the scholar. So basically this person represent in the masjid as well as the community of that background, usually. So if you are talking about Arab culture, you can find in their culture the people who basically gain education in Islamic faith. But obviously when you see from the Islamic point of view, it is not restricted to any tradition, it is not restricted to any culture. Anyone can become Imam of that community, even though this person is coming from the different background, different country, as long as that person has the proper qualification and he has been given this title to lead the community.
Right.
So come back to the knowledge. What knowledge?
What knowledge?
Yes,
yes,
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, just explore a bit of your own religious background.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it a situation, say, as a young man, a young boy, really,
yes,
in Pakistan?
Yes.
Being a Muslim boy, what's that mean? What's it like to be a boy in those situations religiously?
It is actually very fortunate for me, basically, and all those people who are living in Pakistan in a way, because we grown up in that environment where our parents were Muslim. And especially if you talk about me, my father was a great scholar, and my grandfather was also a great scholar of Islam. So I was lucky in a way that I grown up in that home where I find religious practices everywhere in every aspects of my life. And when I became 5-year-old, my father sent me to the Islamic Institute to learn the holy book of Quran. So at the same time I was going to school as well. So I learned the whole entire Quran by heart. So my education started from when I was 5-year-old because that environment. So many Muslim has the same sort of background, because the first thing they go and learn the Islamic education, whether it is less or more.
I'd really like to explore that further, particularly your heritage.
Yes.
But we'll go to a break. We'll go to a break and we'll return in a minute.
If a man's home is his castle, his shed is his kingdom. It's a place men can hang out with a few mates, build a few things, even if you haven't before, and give back to the community. No man should be without a shed. The Australian Men's Shed Association is working to provide a shed for all Australian men, and they have over 400 already. Visit your local shed, build your community, and make a difference. Find a shed near you. It's time to give back.
So, you think you're ready for this?
To take on the world? Why not?
Every day, in many ways, the Royal Flying Doctor Service takes the finest care to Australia's furthest corners so that all Australians can enjoy the best of health. The Royal Flying Doctor Service has been taking care of Australians for over 80 years. But we still need your help to continue providing emergency rescue and essential healthcare to remote and rural communities. Make a donation or become a supporter and help keep the Flying Doctor flying.
Welcome back to Harmony and Diversity. Norm Curry is my name, and I'm speaking with Sheikh Mohammed Wahid. We've just been discussing how your background is two levels of academic, intense knowledge of Islam. Now that's launched you, obviously, into your present position. How did that happen? What did it look like when you were, say, when did you start to study? Was it 17, 18?
Yes, as I mentioned before, when I completed my Quranic studies, I was 9-year-old.
Yes.
After learning the Quran by heart, my father put me back to the school. So I completed my school and then I went to university. When I went to university, basically, I took the major in Islamic studies. So I did my bachelor in Islamic studies. And obviously, because of my background, family background, my father set up the Islamic Institute as well. So after completing my graduation from the university, I went back to that seminary, a college, Islamic Institute. So I did my Islamic and traditional study in that institute. So I completed that one and I became a qualified scholar when I was 18-year-old. So I started performing the duties in the mosque, in the community as well. So that is my journey from childhood to the adulthood.
Is being qualified like that at the age of 18, is that unusual or is that a normal process?
It is actually very common in Islamic countries and in Islamic faith, because every parent in Islamic faith basically wish to teach their children the basic of Islam. And obviously the people who coming from the Islamic religious background, they love their children to become scholars, imams, and Hafiz. This is another title, basically the one who learn Quran by heart. It is called Hafiz. So it is very common. They wish their children to become scholars, imams, and religious leaders. And it is very common in Islamic tradition that the knowledge transfer from man to man.
Yes.
Very important. That my father taught me, and then my teacher maybe taught me, and then I teach to the next generation, and this is the way Islamic faith transfer from one generation to another generation. So that's why it is very important. There is a lot of emphasis on this, that we have to have some people, especially to become imam in the community.
Yes.
Yeah. So from that point of view, that is why the Muslim community pay a lot of emphasis sending their children to the Islamic Institute.
Now, one of the things which people, and you've alluded to it already, is the Quran itself, and the capacity to learn that by rote, by memory. Is that right? So that's a central part. What are the other elements of Islamic study? What are the other things that you look at?
Of course, the fundamental source of all the Islamic, you can say, laws and regulation goes back to the Quran and the tradition of the Prophet.
Yes.
So, in other words, if I give you the brief description of Islamic faith, Quran is the literal laws and regulations written, given by God, and the implementation of those laws and regulations is basically an interpretation of the Quranic verses done by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And basically, he implemented those laws in his own life, and we have the model in front of our eyes, you know. How do we live in this world? From every aspect of our life, whether it is a political, economic, social life, being a father, being a child, a husband, you know, a wife, a father of children. So from every aspect of our life, we get the guidance from the model life of our Prophet, peace be upon him. And he was the interpreter of the Quran. He was the one who implemented the teaching of the Quran over his own life, and that is why Quran itself talked about his life. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. That we have, there is no doubt, we have a perfect model, an example of life for you, the Prophet Muhammad's life. So the source is basically Quran. Right. And when we study Quran, as I mentioned, learning by heart, basically, this is one of the great tradition in Islam, that to preserve this book.
Yes.
So even we lose, for an example, even we lose the books, but we still have in our heart, you know, people, many people. It was in the time of Prophet as well, people were encouraged to learn the Quran by heart, so this can transfer to the next generation. But of course, there are all other laws and regulation come from the Quran and then the life of the Prophet, and these are the two main sources of the whole law and regulation, and Islamic Sharia as well.
Sharia as well.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It raises the point that as a sheikh, you know, many religions have the gurus, and they have the priest holding a particular role.
That's right.
For yourselves, for a sheikh as yourself, how do you relate to your congregation? Do they come and confess to you? Do they come and ask your advice? How does that work?
Look, in Islamic faith, it is entirely different, because we have no authority to forgive other people's, you know, mistakes, or sins maybe. We are there to basically give them guidance in the light of those teachings of the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet. So we basically convey.
I might just interrupt you there, because I need to give myself some guidance.
That's right.
And say that we actually need to go to a break.
All right.
So we'll come back to that.
Rightly said.
We'll go to a break, and we'll be back in a moment.
If you choose to text while driving,
you could ruin lives.
Someone else's, your family's, or your own.
Choose not to instead.
The right choice could save someone's life.
Proud supporters of safety in our community.
GMCU and Southern Cross Austereo.
RSPCA, for all creatures, great and small.
Would your life be different if you chose to swim between the flags instead of that unpatrolled beach? If you'd checked the depth before you dived into shallow water? If you didn't swim under the influence of alcohol and chose not to swim at night? If you only listened to the lifesavers warnings?
Make the right choice this summer. Enjoy our beautiful beaches. Always swim between the red and yellow flags.
If we can't see you, we can't save you.
Welcome back to Harmony and Diversity. Norm Curry is my name, and we're speaking with Sheikh Mohammed Wahid. And we just interrupted ourselves for that break there, and you were just talking about the fact that there is no guru-type idea or forgiveness of sin on behalf of a mullah or a sheikh.
Yes, yeah, that's right. In Islam, actually, the role of the imam or sheikh is basically the guide, religious guide. So people come to ask you question about the ruling of Islamic Sharia in different matters.
Yes.
So imam is the one who just gives guidance, and of course he's the part and parcel of the community as well. Whether it is funeral prayer, he comes and do the prayer, someone sick in the community, or are teaching the Islamic education to their children and adult, running the classes, lot of activities. But the ultimate authority in Islam, basically our Creator, the Lord, our God, which is in Islam we call Allah, Arabic word. So we guide people like, if you have done something, go and repent. All right,
yes.
Repent to the God and ask forgiveness from Him. All right, we can teach them, we can guide them, but we have no authority that, okay, I have forgiven you and your sins are forgiven. So there is no such thing in Islamic faith. But obviously we can guide them to the good life, we can guide them to the following of Islamic Sharia and provide them that environment, teach them about that, but we have no authority that we forgive other people's sins. As long as if it is only related to your own personal level, if someone has done something against you, and that is also in Islam, because this is, if that person does not forgive, then God does not forgive. So that's why it is very important in our Islamic faith that you ask forgiveness from that person if you have done something wrong against that person, which is come under the banner of rights of your fellow men.
Yeah, there seems to be some parallels there in my knowledge of a rabbi. There's
Right.
the Judaism tends to have a similar approach. Is that an
Of course, because all these major three religions, which is Christianity, Judaism, Islam, is coming from their sources same, Abrahamic religion and divine religion. They receive the prophets, they receive the books, laws and regulations from divine, from God. So there are similarity, lot of similarity between Judaism, Christianity and Islam. So, I mean, in reality, in other words, if you want me to say, our forefathers are same.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you go back, then the Prophet Adam is the father of the whole humanity, basically. So we come to that. And then the second father is Ibrahim, Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him.
Yes.
So in Islam, our faith is not complete until we believe in Moses, peace be upon him, as a true prophet of God, and the Jesus, peace be upon him, as a true prophet of God. So you can, and there are a lot of places in the Quran which talk about, even I would say, the majority of the Quran is basically talk about the Christianity and Jesus, peace be upon him, and the Moses, peace be upon him, and the Bani Israel, the prophets which came, in the tradition of Prophet Ibrahim, his children. So in a way, there are a lot of similarities between these three major religions in the world.
Has that led you to your involvement in the multi-faith movement?
Obviously, when I came here in 99, and I found that there is no such platform which can share each other traditions and customs. luckily, I tried to research about that, and then I came across Dandenong Interfaith Network leaders, and they told me the whole interfaith network activities, and they invited me, and they said even that time we do not have any representative from the Muslim faith in this network, so we would love to invite you to come and join us and represent Islam, and this is one of the major religion as well, so we were looking someone to, so I became involved a long time ago. I mean, it's about almost 12 years now.
Yes.
And first 6-7 years I was very much involved, almost took part in every activities, but later on because of my work commitments I reduced my participation, but I still you know, greatly have a lot of input into that network as well. And I would like to tell you, even proud of that, that from Dandenong Interfaith Network, there are many other communities. They were inspired by our efforts and activities in that region, southeastern suburb of Melbourne. They started their own interfaith in their own council in those areas. Then we started interacting each other. We started annual interfaith, you know, get together annually, where kids come and represent, you know, different theme with align with the United Nations theme of the year. So then we started schools tour as well, school kids going to different place of worships and sharing their traditions and learning about other religion.
Yes, the Dandenong Interfaith Group, as you say, was one of the root groups, and a lot of it grew from that. But I think the comment that you made about the fact that there was no Islam representative,
that's right.
It brings us to the point where we need to close. But what I would invite you to be interviewed again. Would you be happy to do that?
Yes, more than happy to come and take part in that interview. I will be pleased with that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
You have been watching Harmony and Diversity, and we'll be back with you next week.
Shanti Om Allahu
Here are the current weather readings for Melbourne, Geelong, Ballarat, Shepparton, Bendigo and Echuca on the MELfeed video weather wall. It also includes tomorrow's forecast and expected minimum temperatures in these areas overnight. This is the MELfeed video weather wall on a different sort of TV. MELfeed Video.
Hot water storage tanks can be a breeding ground for Legionnaire's disease bacteria. You can catch Legionnaire's disease by inhaling small droplets of infected water during showers or other activities. To prevent this from happening, you should never reduce the temperature setting. Tank temperature should be left as set by your plumber. Or eliminate the problem completely with a tankless gas hot water system. For more information, visit healthyhotwater.com.au.
You're there when they can't sleep. You're there when they forget. But who's there when they're at school? Asthma can be serious. It affects 1 in 10 Australians and claims 400 lives each year. Does anyone at your school know what to do in an asthma emergency? Log on to asthmafriendlyschools.org.au and find out if your school is asthma friendly. Shouldn't every school be asthma friendly?
It's always been my dream to represent Australia in the Olympics. Epilepsy affects nearly 250,000 Australians. Like me, most people have their seizures controlled with medication. Even today, people with epilepsy face incredible discrimination, but this prejudice is just another obstacle we can overcome. We're just as capable as anyone else, and often we have to be stronger. I promise I'll do my best for Australia. Will you do your best for me?
Live stream from Melbourne each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
This program is proudly sponsored by Overload Poetry Inc., producers of the Melbourne Overload Poetry Festival, and by Westward Poetry, the Western Suburbs' premier poetry reading.
First of all, put our hands together for all the kids that have come today to read. You're very brave and very talented. And our first reader today is Holly Sievers, because I'm a mean mother and I'm making her go first. So can we welcome Holly, please? Holly's 11.
I'm going to read first Black Storm. Thunder and lightning are crashing all around us. Big black raindrops splash from big grey clouds. The hail starts to tumble down and we hurry inside. We hear the loud crash bang from the booming noise of the lightning. The power had gone out. The torch batteries were low and we only had one candle. It had been a disastrous night in the big black storm. Discovering poetry. I've been reading at volumes for quite a long time. It was really my mum who taught me to rhyme. I can only get better, I cannot get worse, because now I've discovered a thing called free verse. So now I can be like the rest of you poets. I don't have to think so hard and come up with rhyming words. I can just say whatever it is I want to say. So now I'm saying the end. Thank you.
Look at me, eyes, nose, ears can be. Look at me and I'll be quiet. If you don't, I'll cause a riot. I know a poet and don't know it. I say, hey, and God can pray. We went to the sea and had a cup of tea. I know the time, but I can make slime, but I can shine and make a rhyme. A cat and a bat sat in a hat. There wasn't a fight in sight at night. A panda used a sander. I had some toast, then I went to the post. I was the host, then I had a roast. I had a cut and went to the first aid hut. Nanny McPhee saw a bee. A flower had a shower in a tower. My fence I painted, then I fainted. A frog sat on a hog, the hog sat on the log in the fog.
Remember this, just one little thing. Next time you have rubbish, please throw it in the bin. You'll be rewarded in certain ways by saving animals with the money you'll raise. I'm sick of seeing people throwing rubbish out cars. And what's worse, animals are choking on wrappings from candy bars. So if you see any people like these, please report it to the authorities. So if we work really hard together, animals and the environment will last forever.
I just made 2 ones today and I'm going to read those too, and they're about Christmas. Our trees are sparkling, all the dogs are barking, everyone's larking. The stocking is full, everyone's in the pool, and our tummies are full. Thank you.
I'm going to be sharing 2 poems, and my first one is about a rocket.
The rocket is in my pocket, and with my socket I just had to knock it. It flew out of the sky and stopped for a pie, and somehow it had a sigh. After that flew into space without a trace. And my second poem is a acrostic about Richmond. R for Richmond rocks, I is the best, C can kick a lot of goals, H have the best players, M marvellous team, O on the road to victory, N never going to lose a match, D dripping with blood.
I'm doing a short story called A Close Call. The door was locked, the curtains closed, yet I could hear a voice calling, "Come here." I thought I saw the front door move an inch. Once more the ghostly voice called out, "Come here, Merrick." It said my name. Suddenly I was moving along the pavement like an invisible force was tugging me towards the house. I floated up the steps and through the door. I shut my eyes tight and I was slowly tugged through the thick wood of the door. Once I was through, I slowly opened my eyes. I was in some kind of lobby. Just then, something pointy tapped me on the shoulder. I looked up and screamed. There was a skeleton in a tuxedo grinning at me. I ran away as fast as my short, stubby legs would carry me. I was sure the skeleton was still tailing me. I ran up to what looked like a checkout counter, and there stood a tall man with his back to me. "Excuse me." I knocked on the wooden counter. The man slowly turned and I screamed once again. The man had no face. I ran to the first elevator I saw. I pushed every button that was there, but the doors wouldn't budge. I could hear heavy footsteps clanging on the tiles, getting nearer and nearer. I sprint towards the stairs. I ran up millions of them until I reach the second floor. I see a door with a sign on it that said, "Do not disturb." I could hear music and laughter on the other side. I bust through and start to say, "Can you help me?" But by then I'd seen the kids. They were all dead. They turned to look at me. A girl with an axe sliced through her head. Another girl has no head at all. A boy with a knife through his chin and scars covering his face comes and smells. Ever heard of knocking? At that moment, all of the kids in the room pull some sort of pocket knife out of their stomachs. Once again, a long, shrill scream escapes my mouth. I turn and run for my life. I gallop down a hallway, not knowing that every person I'd seen that night was sharp on my tail. Suddenly, the hallway comes to an abrupt end. I look up and see all those weird, creepy people coming up in front of me. There is nothing left to do except curl up in a ball, close my eyes and wait to see what they'll do to me. Another thing that adds to my terror, they all start calling my name. Merrick, Merrick, Merrick. The cries start to sound shriller. Suddenly I feel drenched all around the lower part of my body. I hear my name again and then some giggling. I open my eyes and what I see is my twin sisters gathered around my bed with my sheet off. "Phew," I say. "That was a close call." "What do you mean, a close call?" one of my twin sisters, Amber, says, giggling. "Mum is going to kill you for wrecking the new sheets," adds the other twin, Mallory. Suddenly I have a sick feeling that whatever that wet sensation was before, it wasn't water or sweat.
Now on MELfeed Video, here are the latest Wednesday TATS Lotto results just drawn a short time ago under government supervision. All results shown are subject to confirmation. We hope that these numbers brought you a little bit of luck tonight. If not, there's always next week. Stay tuned to MELfeed Video for more great programs this evening.
One in 5 of us are affected.
10% of us will have at least one.
And the numbers double for Indigenous Australians.
Just as quick as a click of your fingers, it can happen to anyone at any time.
What would you do if someone close to you was having a seizure?
Imagine if it was your child.
My brother has it. My sister has it.
I have it.
I have it too.
You're not alone.
You're not different.
And you have a bright future ahead of you.
So click for kids!
I'm Amy Lee, and I'm part of it.
You teach us strangers are dangerous. But someone we know is a much more likely threat. You teach us strangers are dangerous. But who will help when you're not around? Create a world without unnecessary fear. Prepare, don't scare.
There's a difference between forgetting something once and forgetting it many times. There's a difference between forgetfulness and dementia. Talk to someone who understands. Call the National Dementia Helpline on 1800 100 500.
Hayley's sister Bronte is back again for the third time, and Bronte's 9. Can we welcome Bronte, please?
The first poem I'm going to read to you today is called Dinner Plate. Kangaroos will leap the trees and mice will eat the moon. Slugs will need a haircut and Mum will be here soon. Crows will fly beyond the sun and flies will drink the ocean. Elephants will use a de-wrinkling skin lotion. Fish will love the deserts and camels will take to the seas. Just as much as I'll eat up all of my veggies. I'll eat my veggies just as much as pigs will fly and stones will die and cheaters will not cheat. Geckos blink and trees will think and coolers give off heat. Clocks fight and snakes won't bite but struggle to stay on their feet. And all of this will happen while I'm poking at my meat. The second poem I'm going to read to you today is called Revenge. It always made me squirm when my mother said, "The early bird gets the worm." This would be the worst incentive to get me out of bed, especially with money going round and round my head. In other words, if I get out of bed early, I want a better reward than a slimy worm. Plus, as it is part of fate, the early bird would never get the worm if the dumb worm slept late. For a while I thought I'd never see a day that I could get up when I please. But then I discovered another saying, the second mouse gets the cheese. I found a picture of the late bird on the computer.
Is that what inspired you to write the poem, or did you find that afterwards?
I found that afterwards.
I'm going to read a poem called Ham. Once upon a time, many pigs could fly. They flew up in the bright blue sky. Their wings worked well until they found that cats could pounce up from the ground. They flew up away from the cats. They flew past all the birds and bats. They flew toward the sun, then bam, and that's how we discovered ham. Merry bloody Christmas. I hope you're happy now. Some guy you barely even know is coming to your house. And if you don't have a chimney, he's coming in the back. His example is bad for your kids. He is so very slack. He rides around the world simply in a sleigh, and you wonder how he does it all in a night and day. The scary fat old smelly man is coming to your home. Be careful to dialing 000 quickly into your phone.
Hi. I wrote 4 poems. First one, Hate. Hate looks like a bomb about to explode. Hate feels like fire. Hate smells like rotten eggs. Hate sounds like a scream. Darkness. Darkness surrounds me. Darkness is evil. Darkness makes me want to scream. Darkness has no friends. Darkness is no friends. Darkness is everybody's worst enemy. The sound of darkness makes me want to run. Darkness, oh how I hate you. This one's about Layla, which is my sister's pet dog. I was sitting down one night, and then I looked down, and there I saw the rumbling ball spinning round. It looked like a black blob in the midnight air, and how I watched it, the blob of black hair. This is my last and final one. Divorce. Divorce is a separation of hate and deceive. Divorce separates those who grieve. Divorce is never a happy thing to go through. Divorce is what makes us blow through the roof.
The poems I'm going to read today, I've read at the Dan O'Connell in Carlton. The first one's called The Wait. Dad has gone overseas, I miss him. Calls me 2 times a week, sends a postcard to remind me of his love. The weather here is cold, I feel the same. Where he's gone is warm, I wish I was there. The weekends are lonely, I stay indoors and have memories of my father taking me to Tassie. This one's about this guy called Cam. He's the MC for the Dan O'Connell on Saturdays. It's called The Cool Man. I saw a man, he likes to cook with a pan. The food he cooks with is from a can. One day he went to the shop and found a fan. He took it home to be a cool man. This poem's about when my dad wouldn't get up from bed, so I read a poem. Dad, get up. I screamed, get up, Dad. He says, go and have breakfast. I will get up by myself, he says. So I come back, he's still in bed. So I give him a body slam. He says, I'm up, I'm up.
Thank you. The poem that I'm going to read today is called Lost in the Bush. Strange birds are flying through the air. Brambles are stuck in my hair. Perspiration on my forehead. My legs feel like lead. I don't know when to eat or drink. At the moment, it's hard to think. I try not to think of home and comfort. At the moment, I have no more effort. Suddenly, I hear a shout. It's my parents without a doubt. My poem is called White. White. White is the shade of confusion. It tastes like sparks of electricity on your tongue. It smells like panic. It looks like a flash of light. It feels like intense heat. White is the colour of the overwhelmed.
Hello, my name is Craig and I'm going to be reading Michael Met a White Duck. Michael met a white duck walking on the green. How are you, said Michael, how fine the weather's been. Blue sky and sunshine all throughout the day. Not a single raindrop came to spoil our play. But the sad white duck said, I myself want rain. I'd like to see the brooklets and the streams fill up again. Now I can't go swimming, it really makes me cry to see all the little duck ponds that look so very dry. But behold, next morning the cloud is looking back. Down the rain came bouncing, said the duck. Quack, quack. Ponds are full of water, ducks are full of joy, but someone else is not pleased, and that's the little boy.
Hello, today I'm going to read to you shoes. I've got some brand new gumboots to wear in winter weather and some black school shoes made of shiny leather. My sandals are for summertime, they look cool and neat. But what I like best of all is running with their feet.
Australian women need to kiss more. Watch out for persistent and unusual symptoms as they could be a sign of ovarian cancer. Know the important signs and symptoms. Kiss. Look out for symptoms like abdominal or back pain, difficulty eating or feeling full quickly, or persistent bloating, or a change in toilet habits. If you're experiencing persistent and unusual symptoms for more than 14 days, see a GP. Make sure you kiss regularly.
Every time we buy certified organic, we're making a choice to help our environment and build a healthier community. But it can be hard to know that what we're buying is truly organic. The Australian Certified Organic logo is only given to products after a very rigorous process. So when you see this logo, it means you can trust that there are no genetically modified foods, no animal cruelty, and no harsh synthetic pesticides used. A healthier community is always better for our future. So the next time you shop, look for this logo.
We have Keely Fitzgerald, who is 7, and this is her first time here as well. Welcome, Keely.
My cat Min Min. When I dangle down a piece of string, she jumps up like a bear. When I play cards with my dad, she watches me on a chair. She tries to catch my fish and she eats from a dish. She lies on a mat and she's a cat. She's a bit funny and sometimes she drinks from the dunny. When I chase her, she hides under Mum and Dad's bed. I bring her food and she's fed. Min Min thinks she's a tiger in the zoo. But when she goes to the kitty litter, it's full of poo. Min Min is stalking while I am talking. I have a dolly called Molly and Min Min likes to play with her. When I pat Min Min, she licks her fur. I said to Min Min, "You're the best cat in the world." When she heard this, her tail curled. Okay, my first poem is called Pythonesque. Bikey grannies extending arms, tins of spam and magic charms. Life of Brian, holy grail, young and strong, old and frail. They are silly, they are freaky, but you have to like them so. They are dirty, they are sneaky, but you never can say no. They drunk philosophers singing lumberjacks, killer jokes and silly cracks. They are stupid, they are dumb, but you must not let go. They are surreal, they are crazy, but they still keep up the show. And here I have 2 more poems, one by myself and one by somebody else. Okay, this is my one. Sunny beach, people running, shark's fin. And this is the poem called The Horror of Don't Care. Don't care, didn't care, don't care was wild. Don't care stole plum and pear like any beggar's child. Don't care was made to care, don't care was hung. Don't care was put in a pot and boiled till he was done. Thank you.
And I'm going to read a poem called Lemonade Love. Once there was a man that said to his friend, "Your wonderful talent must never end." Now his friend asked, of course, "What do you mean? I don't know of this talent that you have seen. Your bubbly love is like lemonade, a lemonade that you have made. So keep up the good work, we all like it so. I just thought I'd tell you so that you would know."
I read 2 string poems, one's about fish and the other's about dogs. Dogs, 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 black, white, brown dogs, nosy, scruffy, fluffy dogs, playing, jumping, barking dogs, running, eating, sleeping dogs, 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 dogs. Fish, 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 red, blue, yellow fish, big, small, medium fish, swimming, gliding, diving fish, twirling, spinning, darting fish, 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 fish.
This is a poem I did at school with, it's called My Zoo. I love my family very much and my house has lots to do, but sometimes they all make me think my family's a lot like a zoo. My father's the gorilla type who likes to eat and drink. He makes so much noise it's hard for all of us to think. My mother is a tree kangaroo who swings from tree to tree, but she also loves to sleep, and then we let her be. Lil, my dog, a lioness, I love her, she's my pal, but when it comes to visitors, she loves to growl and growl. Marilyn, my cat, a panther, she just loves to purr. She's not scared of Lil, the lion, Lil is scared of her. My fish. They are like otters. They swim around in their pond. I love my fish very much. Of them I'm very fond. Me, I am a meerkat. I'm alert and love to play. I always have my friend Matt to play with me all day. Matt, he's a frog. He says his face loves to dance. He's one of the best friends I will ever have, and he wants to go to France. Like I said before, I love my family very much. They're kind, they're resourceful, and they have the caring touch.
I'm going to read a poem called Fire. Hard to breathe, smoke in the house, my dog is scared of fire.
We've got a group poem that we wrote at school, and it was entered in the Taronga Poetry Foundation. Yeah, and it actually got a prize. So can Molly and... Are you coming up, Cara and Keely? I think Molly and Keely are going to read it out. There you go.
This poem's called Joey Kangaroo. Rosie Anzac is an orphan with broken bones, 2 legs and her tail. She got hit by a car.
Cuddly, soft Joey, warm and furry, scared.
Joey's frightened of frogs and of us, the shaking.
Stella says, hold her close so she feels safe. My kangaroos stop shaking now, says Sinead. They are so cute. We kiss Rosie Anzac before she goes to sleep.
Lily, Ruthie, Bren, Bruce, kangaroos scratching and licking. They come up close. Tess isn't really frightened.
Rupert is sticking his head out of his homemade pouch. Keely sees him through Stella's window as we say goodbye.
That brings us to the end of the third Future Poets. I'd like to thank all the parents for coming all this way to Montsalvat, and I know it's a busy time of year, and just because you had a late night, don't you talk. And to all the kids for being brave enough to come and read, and for writing year after year and during the year and whatever. It's just fabulous. I'm blown away by the standard of the writing and how confident the kids are, to get up and read. It's just fantastic. So give yourselves and give your parents a big clap.
This program was proudly supported by our sponsors.
Well, if only I could be as confident as some of those kids, because I don't know about the kids, but if I had to do what they just did, I think I'd be pretty terrified. It's pretty terrifying just doing this, these announcements, actually. But coming up next is 15 fabulous minutes, and just a reminder that we've got a Vidibus radio going on at the moment, and that's under test at the moment, so it's not always on air, but it is on air while we're doing MELfeed tonight. So if you want to look at that, or listen to that rather, you can go and have a look at vidibus.com.au/radio, and that would be listen, wouldn't it? Not look. Anyway, and we're just about to go into 15 fabulous minutes, so we'll get that ready, and we'll see you again soon.
If you choose to speed,
you could ruin lives.
Someone else's, your family's, or your own.
Choose not to instead.
The right choice could save someone's life.
Proud supporters of safety in our community.
GMCU and Southern Cross Austereo.
I was in my 40s when I was first diagnosed with bowel cancer. George, my son, was 6 years old at that time. These days, like people of his age, he's very busy, but he still needs to find the time to get to know his bowel cancer risk. Is that right, George?
Yes, Dad. Bowel cancer affects 1 in 12 Australians, young and old, and is our second biggest cancer killer. But if caught early, bowel cancer is treatable and beatable. My dad is living proof of that. So get to know your bowel cancer risk. Talk to your pharmacist or GP about screening. Protect yourself and the ones you love. Go to lovemyfamily.org.au.
Live stream from Melbourne each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
Welcome back to another fabulous 15 minutes.
That's right, I'm Jacqueline and this is Steve. We're going to bring to you the delights and the sights and the sounds and the smells, if we can manage it, of the Chapel Street Festival.
Fabulous fashion, food and all for you.
Just in 15 minutes.
Or maybe we'll do a half-hour special.
Yeah, why not, for a change, okay.
Let's do it.
It's Melbourne's little piece of Italy, and we've got none other than a man by that very name here, Milan, who will be emceeing today's event. Hello, how are you, Milan?
Good, very good, very good. How are you?
Very well. Now, if it was like another street, a bit of like the Paris end of Collins Street, would you be called maybe Nice? Is it Milan because there's sort of a bit of little Italy here in Melbourne today, in Chapel Street?
Yeah, I think it's a very cosmopolitan feel, you know. It's got that all ages vibe about it and all styles vibe about it. That's what I think anyway.
And what's the style we're sporting today in your head?
I'm going for the cyber rocker look, the Johnny Suede or maybe even Johnny Silver today, I think, and pulling off the King Kong top. You know, so I'm feeling pretty gutsy, pretty animalistic today.
You wouldn't be feeling too gutsy though, now would you? I mean, one likes a bit of a six-pack.
That's true, the six-pack. Always love a six-pack. Delicious.
Now, what are you going to be tantalising us today? There's still the words that will be coming off your tongue.
Well, God knows. I mean, you know, half the time you've just got rough little structure and you just spice it up with a bit of variety and a few words you haven't used for a while, make it exciting, jump up and down, stuff like that, so yeah.
Any crowd interaction today?
I'm thinking of trying to figure out maybe a few key words and catchphrases that they can scream out to let the models know that, you know, they're appreciated and adored, basically. But we might do some statement response gospel singing and, yeah, you never know, we might cast a few spells, whatever, we'll see what goes down.
We'll be bewitched, I'm sure.
Actually, which witch are you?
Which witch? I'm the witch from Elstonwick.
Well, not the witch of Chapel Street?
No.
Are you the witch of Chapel Street?
Today, yeah.
Today?
Yeah.
Are you going to cast a spell on people?
Well, I thought we had already done that, actually. We have been.
Do you know that you've actually got a spider on your nose?
Have I?
Better squash it.
And now we're going to be speaking with Gervais, the choreographer of today's extravaganza. Hello, yes you are. Hi Gervais, how are you going?
Good, hon, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Now you've choreographed, from what I can gather, today's event. Styled.
Frank, choreographer's inside.
Okay, well maybe we'll speak to Frank later. What about styling? What was involved in that?
Well, we basically asked the designers to put together the outfits themselves, then Lacey and I just supervised to make sure that it sort of looked okay and nothing was out of place, and the models were looking fabulous.
And what is the look today?
There's several. There's so many different labels. There's several. There's from suits to swimwear to streetwear. There's several, yeah.
And what designers are we going to be seeing on the catwalk?
general pants, risque, there's misbehaving, there's Roger David, Just Jeans, Renegade, Cyberstore, there's a whole bunch. All of Chapel Street fashion, basically.
Well, here we are backstage. The models behind me are ready to go on. Now, we've got Michelle here, one of the makeup artists for today. What kind of theme have you organised?
Well, with Halloween, we've gone for the angelic type, sailor boy type look.
Disregard that hat, mind you. We've just got to make the hair look a bit flat.
Sailor boys and angels.
So we've gone for a lot of tree, sort of Tarzan kind of look at the moment.
Girls are looking beautiful with their vine leaves and their flowers. It's that spring fashion type theme.
But we're in the middle of winter. Just kidding.
Feels like it. And then we've got those little diamonds on their faces with the glitter, and we're going for that whole angel Halloween type look.
Well, there you have it. Now, how long does it take to do, say, like 20 models here?
Well, we've been going since 9 o'clock this morning, and there's actually a total of 30 models, so...
And singing?
Stopped.
You haven't stopped, so you enjoyed today then?
Yeah, I loved it.
Are you,
I'd like to see
you going to shake your little tush out there tonight?
I certainly am. I'm going home, having a shower and coming back. Excuse me? I'm just wondering whether you're a good witch or whether you're a bad witch. Good witch. I'm a very good witch, yes, and I cast many good spells for all people. Have you got one for me today? Well, if I draw a magic heart on your cheek, that means you'll have lots of love all day. Fantastic. I think you should do that. Right. Right. Oh, lovely. You'll have lots of love, and you'll be a very happy girl by the end of the day. Thank you very much. Oh my God, suddenly the cameraman looks gorgeous. You look good.
What are you cooking?
I'm cooking satay chicken and veal and meat bread roll and dim sim and
Okay, I've kind of lost my dog a little while ago. Have you seen it?
I can't see.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I haven't seen them.
Here, Skippy. I think it's gone.
Well, Jeremy, I'm just wondering what sort of fashions are we going to be seeing this summer on the streets of Melbourne?
Well, Jacqueline, there's a lot of pale colours in at the moment, a lot of pale pinks, pale blues and whites. The white tops are going great with the cream three-quarter pants at the moment, but we're seeing a lot of the three-quarters. They're very popular this summer.
Well, thank you very much, Jeremy. Well, as you can see, I'm on the cutting edge of fashion.
Well, you never know who you can find here at Chapel Street, and of course I've got Susan from She Cosmetics. Welcome.
Hello. I hope everyone's enjoyed the parade today, and we're showing all our glitters and shines of the season.
Now I've got the She Shimmer here, is it?
Yeah, that's right. It's the new look. We've just released it. It's part of the initiation range, and we're hoping that you're all receiving it. The beautiful diamantes as well that you've seen on all the girls today, and they're looking amazing, aren't they?
They are, and I guess I've got the She Shimmer Shine. Just like you, you're just glowing and radiant.
I haven't got any glitter on myself, but everybody else has.
I lost my dog a little while ago. Have you seen it?
Well, I'm joined by Josh and Jeff. They know nothing. Isn't that true? You don't know anything.
We don't know anything. What's E2K? I don't know. I better check the website. That's the best thing to do.
It's simple enough to me, doesn't it? Check the website on E2K.
So there's an alternative to the Y2K.
It's a big alternative to Y2K, isn't it?
Better?
Because E means everything.
Is that what E means?
Obviously.
What else could it mean?
Well, it could mean euphoria, it could mean energy, excitement, and it also could mean total ecstasy, darling.
I'm walking through stories, I'm very impressed.
Here we are, we're going to go backstage and see what's happening all back here. It's pretty mayhem and crazy. This is where all the models are getting prepared. And, oh look, we've got Ben here. Hi Ben, how's it going?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Steve.
Long show or?
Yeah, a bit too long for my liking.
Too long, and what have you been wearing?
Bit of this, bit of that. Gotta go.
Gotta go, gotta do the finale, gotta walk.
God, it's been busy. Excuse me, do you know what the hold up is? Cupid KFC chips, is it? Sorry? Cupid KFC? No. Oh, I'm in the wrong queue. I'm in the wrong queue.
It looks like it's lunchtime, and what are we eating? Oh my God, look at this. 3 dim sims.
Dinner.
That's dinner?
Dinner. Yeah, it's my dinner.
Is that all you've had all day?
It is actually, yeah.
3 little dumplings?
I've eaten for 2 days actually.
2 days?
Yes.
So you've been partying?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
So you're partying here at Chapel Street really hard?
No, actually we're not enjoying it. We've been at the exchange.
Really?
Yeah.
Why haven't you enjoyed it? Too many people?
It's just tragic. Yeah.
Well, you can't please everybody here, can you? But,
Exchange and had a good time with friends.
well, so long as you have a good fun. Always the motto to the story is go with your friends to Chapel Street Festival, you'll have a better time.
That's right. Well, I'm famished. Having said that, I know a boy like that once. Oh, more like that actually.
Hi, I'm Peter. It's my first day here at De Geer's Chapel Street Festa. I normally work at the pantry in Church Street. My good friend Michael, who owns the store itself, asked me to do him a favour and work for him, and I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity, what with all the people around. Simon's grabbing me from behind. How are you? What are you doing here today?
What do you think, man? Jesus, look at this. Look at these people. Look at all of these people.
I know.
Do you mean for anything else?
You have to be here to be seen though, don't you?
Baby, it is a visual festival. It is, what can I say?
That's right.
It's beauty. Beauty, passion, Melbourneism.
Good on you. See you later. And yeah, so I'll be working here till 9 o'clock tonight. I only moved in about a month ago in Paran, so it lends itself to working here, and hopefully I'm working here full time on the weekend. What else can I say? The fashion here is just so diverse. You know, where does one begin? Starting from something as diverse as punk, which is still around from, you know, even the 70s itself, to something that is ultra chic and modern, like say Versace and so on. It's another way to hear that works at De Geer's. Your name is?
Brian.
Brian, and Brian, how long have you been working here for?
As long as an hour. An hour? 3 hours?
Are you a starter like me today?
Yeah.
Oh, right, I see.
But I've got the abs or the hat.
Pardon?
I don't have the abs or the hat.
Oh, well, look, I mean, that took a lot of hard work, but yeah, you'll get there. This is the owner of De Geer's, Spunky Michael. Michael, how's it going today?
Oh, very good, very busy, and the weather's kept up, so it's great.
Are we raking in a lot of money?
No, we're not. I've got to keep going.
Okay, let's see you later.
I lost my dog a little while ago. Have you seen it?
Just quickly. Excuse me, I'm just wondering if you could possibly tell me where Chapel Street is.
I don't speak English, I'm Russian.
Okay, thank you. Well, that was the first half of the fabulous 15-minute show, and that was absolutely sensational stuff. Very exciting day.
Absolutely. Stay tuned after the break for more Chapel Street Festival.
One question before I go.
Yes?
What the hell are you doing with glitter on your face, Steve?
I'm in the show.
Fantastic.
I've been in the show. That's it. What can I say? What a star.
Little baby, don't you cry. Daddy's gonna sing you a lullaby. When you're sleeping safe and sound, you've got the proudest dad in town. I remember when I first saw you, your heart beating as you grew. We'll read you stories to help you dream. Your mommy and I are a perfect team. I can't wait to hear you sing or watch as you put on a wedding ring. One day you'll have children too. Remember the times I sang to you.
This bank is helping to save lives. Every year, 500,000 Victorians have no idea where their next meal is coming from. Food Bank Victoria works with farmers, supermarkets and manufacturers to make sure their surplus stock ends up here, to be distributed to those in need. But all of this is not enough. Right now, this bank needs interest, your interest, to support Victorians in need. If you can help, visit foodbankvictoria.org.au.
Are you playing renovation roulette? I'm John Jarrett.
Now I know that deadly asbestos lies hidden in 1/3 of Aussie homes.
It can be found in any home built or renovated before 1987. Lurking in walls, under floor covering, behind tiles, in roofing. Asbestos. It was used everywhere. So if you're a renovator or a tradie, you could be risking your life and the lives of others. Remember, go slow. Asbestos, it's a no-go. Visit asbestosawareness.com.au to learn what you need to know.
And we'll go ask a few questions. Got to dodge the obbos. Oh, and there's a few of them out here. Thank you. Now, we're back, yes. How's it going down here today?
It's very busy.
Very, very busy. Do you know?
No one's died either lately.
No one's died, so everybody's getting across safe.
Yeah, that's right.
How many people were estimated to be here today?
I think it's 250,000, I think.
And how many have you counted so far?
Was it 249,000, I think I'm up to?
You're up to?
That's only the last 15 minutes.
So what is Alfred?
I got you going.
You got to. All right. Got to go. He's got to do his job. Better move.
Here we are at the back of Bridie O'Reilly's, and tell you what, those Irish are pretty wild, so we definitely like to keep them caged. And excuse me, you're in charge of the Portaloos, is that right? Yeah, the toilets, no, the whole bar. Well, I suppose it's all part and parcel, isn't it, really? You go to the bar, to the toilet, to the bar, that's ideally the way it goes. So what's Bridie O'Reilly's got on today for the punters? We just got 2 marquees, front, back, and 4 bands, 2 outside and 2 inside point all day. Do you have any dancing later on? Any dancing? I hope there's dancing now.
Well, thanks for that, Jack. That was very interesting, and I've got the easiest job. I'm just going to have a bit of more comfort here. Try out this new one, suspension therapy. I need somebody else. Come in. Come join me. This is the life. Meanwhile, Jacqueline's out there in the street just basically doing the hard stuff. And I'm in here having a nice rockin'. What's your name, by the way?
My name's Siobhan.
Siobhan.
This is the ultimate in comfort. This is so nice.
This is the way to spend the Chapel Street Festival.
We're down here at the Fashion Cafe. I won't talk to these people because they all seem really rude, but I will bring you over to this other table. I'm joking. Now we're having lunch down here, guys. Just introduce yourselves.
Darren.
D.
Greg.
Hello. Kat. And the guy that was sitting here, Thomas. Now he's gone. What did you think of the food down here at Fashion Cafe? Don't be honest, because we need more customers to come in.
It was really lovely.
And the service here?
Service was fantastic.
And you guys are enjoying your food. Have you had anything to eat yet?
We love the chef's food. It was lovely.
Oh, what a suck. Anyway, come down to Fashion Cafe and have something to eat. So that's caught in your pants. So, there we go. It's the only thing that'll go into her pants this year. Anyway, come down to Fashion Cafe and join us for a big old meal. Help! Help me! Somebody let me out!
It's all funky and happening here, and I think why don't we have a bit of a chit chat to the DJ? See what sort of tracks he's spinning for us. So how you going? Thanks. So who are we speaking to here?
It's Matt Wilco. How are you?
Good. Now, where can we see you around town strutting your stuff?
Usually at GP on Friday nights, candy bar here and there, Blue Poles for special events as well. So, yes.
And what are you delighting our ears with this afternoon?
A broad range of housey grooves, mainly American house and garage, pretty much. Bit of French and English thrown in.
We are in the heart of what I'd say the club mecca of Chapel Street. We have ravers after ravers who are just going off. I am peaking, I'm going off.
Well, here's some girls who are enjoying the afternoon. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Got a bit of a big thirst there, have you?
What?
Got a bit of a big thirst there, have you?
Oh yeah, how good is it? How good is it?
sharing that with everybody? It's good. It's good. It's vodka. It's Stolly. How are you enjoying yourself this afternoon?
Not much, yeah.
What have you been seeing so far?
Breakdancing.
For TV. So talk and say something. It'd be interesting. Talk.
Yeah, we've seen drunk people.
Okay, flash this dick at us.
Let's play pick a door. Door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. Who's going to come out first? Here we go. And how was it? Oh, 2 of them. Oh! There you go, it's rocking in there.
Some people are certainly making a roaring trade here in Chapel Street, and we have some very entrepreneurial young ladies down here who are selling some fantastic beads. Good afternoon, how are you going? What are you doing? Just doing a little bit of filming here about Chapel Street Festival, and what are you selling?
Selling my own jewellery.
And what are the pros and cons? What's the unique selling point of your jewellery? Why would I buy a piece? Apart from that, it looks gorgeous.
So it was 5 and 7 for the other one, 12 altogether.
Here you go, a businesswoman, that's okay, fine. You know, you're here to make money, time is money. Oh my God, there we go. Hello, we have none other than Amy. And how are you? You're flying to town?
Thank you very much.
Sorry, my mistake. And what are you up to these days, Jacinta?
I'm actually applying my girl for these. No.
So you're making mega sales for them, are you? Getting a cut of the commission?
No, but I get them for free, I think.
Oh, excellent. There you go, a bit of a kickback. So yes, Jacinta, what are you sort of like? What are you doing these days?
What am I doing?
Career-wise.
Career-wise, I'm working. I'm doing a lot of things.
And you're flying overseas, I hear?
In a month, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Did we get a scoop or a bit of a coup about what you'll be up to over in Britain? Is it somewhere cold?
Yes, it's very cold in England over there over Christmas time, but and I get to miss the great summer over here, which is a nightmare. But anyway, and I'm going to America as well. I just want to travel really and relax a little bit. This year's been pretty full on and blah 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 blah.
Yada yada yada. You've enjoyed it nonetheless, I'm sure.
I have. Have a good day.
Yeah, you've been a great example of the kids actually spoken all the way through that. But you're obviously holding that for someone else, aren't you?
I am. It's not mine.
I am picking. I'm going off.
We're here at the F Cafe Kitchen live. This is our handy dishwasher, and your name is?
Angie.
Angie scrubs the meanest pot this side of Chapel Street. Coming up here, we'll see all the... this is our famous chef, and your name is?
Colette.
Isn't that cute, Colette? What are you making now?
I'm doing some open grills.
Am I in the way?
No, not too bad.
Okay. So you can get some great food. I'm going here at the Fashion Cafe and put that in someone's sandwich. No one will know.
I am completely bush. I've been walking up and down, and we've got Peter here, and he's going to let me have the air chair. Right, I feel like I'm getting in a big nappy here. Okay, oh, this is comfortable. On the pole or like that? That's it. This is fabulous. I need a drink. I need a beer. Excuse me? Now that's service for you. Enjoy. I think that's about it for me. I'm going to have a bit of a sleep. And we'll see what Jacqueline's up to. She's out there somewhere. Jacqueline, good night.
I'm enjoying the sunshine, thank God it's not raining, and we're just going to maybe speak to a couple of people and see how they're enjoying their day. See whether they're finding today's event scintillating, whether it's a little bit dull maybe, a bit boring and bland. Oh, hello there. I was wondering if you're enjoying your day today. Yep, thinks it's absolutely fantastic. Can't wait for the show to start.
Chapel Street Festival and have some fun, especially at the Pancake Parlour. Thank you. Boo.
And watch this dick at us.
We're having a good time here.
I'm having an excellent time.
How long have you been down here for?
Oh shit, about 5 hours.
5 hours of partying. Where are you going afterwards?
I would not have a clue, but hopefully somewhere where the music's pumping.
And you're going to continue to party?
Yes.
That's Chapel Street for you.
Sorry?
That's Chapel Street for you.
It is. Go Chapel Street.
Well, we've got all sorts of music here on Chapel Street, and this is an example of the sort of music you're expecting today. I've actually got a request. We'll just see if you can do it or not. See if he's a real musician or whether he's a bit of a wannabe. Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you very much. So far, so good.
You enjoying yourself today?
I enjoy myself every day, especially today.
That's what we like to hear. Now, I've got a request. I was wondering whether you can play it.
Well, what would you like to hear if I can play it, mind you?
Do you know anything by the Backstreet Boys?
Yeah, no, but I can't play it, so...
Maybe Jennifer Lopez?
No, I know what you're at, and I just can't play this kind of song.
Madison Avenue?
No way. No way. I don't know.
Well, thanks for watching another episode of Fabulous 15 Minutes.
And we'll be back next year to bring to you the delights of the Chapel Street Festival. I think we're about to have a sweet lucky. What do you say, Steve?
I reckon. Time to eat. Bye. Show everybody your eyes, because that's happening, man. I've actually kind of got a question for you.
No.
Do you blink?
Do I blink?
Yeah, I haven't seen you blink yet.
No, I don't blink.
I didn't think this could happen in Toowoomba. And then I saw it on TV that night. It really opened my eyes.
Whenever the community comes to us and says we need your help, we do whatever we can to assist.
It is a great feeling to be able to help your neighbours, to be able to help your community.
Each Lions member and each Lions club in different parts of the country, we're totally different. But we have core values that are the same. They remain the same for any Lions member and any Lions club anywhere in not just Australia but around the world.
Anything that you can think of that you want to do and support and help, Lions are doing it right now somewhere in this world.
I think Lions need to tell their story. They need to let people know the amazing things that they do.
The three major streams that we have in Lions are the community service that we do for the public, health and medical research, and the disaster relief.
We're out there to help people. If you love helping people, get out and help. Join a Lions Club.
We started this project about 20 years ago. All this gear would normally go to the tip. We recycle it and give it to someone less fortunate and where it is needed in the world.
Being a Lion here in Australia means that I can make a difference to my community. But most importantly, it's inspiring other people to get out and be part of their community and make it a safer and a much happier and better place to live.
Childhood cancer, I've always been interested in cancer and small children from the time I first got cancer 30 years ago. Research is an indefinite item. You can't see it, but it helps so much.
I'm here managing the money and the relationships, but other people are out there raising funds and bringing in community support. Without all of us working together, we can't affect change.
2 more extra hands at any function, any working bee, anything we do. 2 more hands can help us raise more funds, can help us serve our community better.
I went to my Lions Club and I said, I got this idea and I think it's a little bit crazy, but I think we could raise some serious money doing it. And it was to run 100 kilometres. And the club said, okay, if you want to do this, whatever you need us to do, we'll be there 100%. And I'm pretty proud to say that together we raised just over $16,000. So we blew the target out of the water, and I think that was due to a lot of the support that I got.
Through my leadership training and all that, I've learned about thinking global, acting local, and Lions Club is definitely that kind of thing. They act within their communities, but the money that they raise can often end up in any corner of the world.
As an individual, I could only do so much, and whilst it was my burning desire to try and help these people, having an organisation such as the Lions family to call upon to support me and those people that were working with me just made it possible for us to achieve so much more.
You know, after the devastation, to come back into the community, you know, you were shattered by what you saw. You know, no police station, no post office, no petrol station, you know, no kindergarten. There was nothing here.
And all that water with an unstoppable.
I don't know that I've ever seen as much as arrived. There were fridges, washing machines, dryers. There was toasters, jugs, just everything.
To be invited to be a part of Lions just opened up a whole new world to me. A world that provided a structured organisation that could see that the hours that I volunteered could achieve so much more.
I think Lions is a wonderful organisation. The people in it have charity in their hearts.
I can go anywhere in this country, see somebody with a Lions badge, walk up to them and say, "Good day, you got a friend."
Never once in my life had I had a group of people where I could go to, say anything, and know that no matter what, they would be there, they would stand by me.
It's the family. That's what we call it's the Lions family. Without Lions, I think I'd be lost now because they've been my life.
We work hard, but the most important thing is we have fun.
The fellowship of all the members of the club, the broader community, it's just a tremendous organisation to belong to. You know, I'll be here till I die.
It is extremely rewarding and gratifying to be a part of an organisation that can spread its support so far and wide.
More members means more hands, means more support to the community.
I would encourage everyone just to give it a go and see if it is for them, because the return that you get for giving to others is amazing.
Get out there, do something wonderful, be part of this fantastic organisation.
Live stream from Melbourne each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
Welcome to the CEC Report. It's the 15th of June. I'm Robert Barwick. And I'm joined today by the CEC's candidate for the Perth by-election, Barry Mason. Welcome, Barry.
It's great to be here, Robbie.
Good. In this week's CEC report, Glass-Steagall will be introduced in Australia's Parliament this month. Sudden density of warnings of financial crash, and Kim and Trump take great step down pathway to peace. So first, Glass-Steagall will be introduced in Australia's Parliament this month. And Barry, you've joined us on our show on a great day. We've got this excellent news, which means the work that we've been doing and you've been doing, the CEC has been doing, you the viewer has been doing, that we've encouraged you to do, contact your Member of Parliament, contact your Member of Parliament, contact your Member of Parliament. It works. We now have a seconder for the bill that the CEC drafted for Glass-Steagall separation of Australia's banks, which Bob Katter said he will introduce, but he needed a seconder. Andrew Wilkie, MP from Tasmania, has said he will second the bill.
Yep.
So that'll be introduced on the 25th of June. They'll give notice next week, and on the 25th of June, that will be introduced. So let me just emphasise again, this process works. A lot of people, Barry, maybe even say something about this, because you know, you've done it. but sometimes people would feel, oh, is it a waste of time? Politicians are a waste of time. Would you bother doing that? Well, I don't think so, because we see it's worked. How do you feel about it?
Oh, it's no doubt that it works. I mean, China's had their Glass-Steagall legislation since the 90s.
No, exactly.
And any movement over history, people would see that any movement, it's only a small amount of people putting the pressure on the politicians that have forced these movements over the years.
No, that's right.
It can work.
So we clarify that. You know, they keep getting the message from the public that this is what they want, right? It clarifies in their mind. They look into it, and then they can see things like you just said about, it's worked for China. It can work for the world. I also want to point out that it coincides with a very important development in Europe, where the Italian government, the new Italian government, the Prime Minister gave a speech the other day where he laid out, in the Parliament, he laid out their program, and in his speech laying out the program that they're going to legislate is a Glass-Steagall separation of banks. Now this makes Italy the first government, or Western government, should say, clarify, since the crash, which proved we needed Glass-Steagall back, to say, okay, we're going to do it. And I also want to point out, this is worth saying, because from a political perspective kind of thing, Italy's government is a coalition of a very right-wing party and a very left-wing party. Now, ordinarily, you're told the system wants you to hate your political opponents, right? They're the enemy, they're the devil, or whatever. And there's good reasons to have disagreements on those things that make you, that you oppose in them. But there's always common ground. And if we don't let the system, the media, and the elites play that divide and conquer game, and you can get left and right working together, then we can take on our common enemy, which for the whole of humanity is the banking power.
Absolutely.
Right? What they've been allowed to get away with for way too long. So this is great. And in Australia, history is going to be made on the 25th of June when it gets introduced here. So again, be proud of what you've done to help. Let's keep doing it. We need to. That's the first step. Getting it introduced means it's in the ballpark, right? It's now in play. We have to get it debated. We have to get it passed. So the work is not done. If you've made calls, make more calls, right? Let's keep the pressure on. So now, let me introduce Barry, because we've invited Barry to Melbourne for this purpose, right? And the timing was great because we didn't know when this would happen in Parliament. Barry, you're the CEC's candidate for the seat of Perth in the by-election. That should be on the 28th of July.
Well, we hope so.
Unless Malcolm Turnbull pulls a Swifty, right?
That's right.
So now the CEC report goes live to air on Channel 44 in Perth, right? So for those viewers in Perth, I want you to pay close attention to this segment. Barry, tell us about yourself and how you got interested in politics.
57. Divorced with 2 lovely girls, and have 2 grandkids as well. And born and bred Perth, WA. Couldn't find a better place on the planet. But and Melbourne's getting a little bit cold for me. But anyway, I was in a relationship which ended, and not giving tips or anything. It was just my way of handling things and to take your mind and focus on something else was to get into what I've always liked, and that's history.
Okay.
And history of various things, but you've got the Romans, the Greeks, and that sort of stuff. But with the technology these days and the explosion of information, that just snowballed, and it went from the history of money to our debt-based monetary system to wars. And then all of a sudden we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. So then how did you come across us, the CEC?
Well, gathering that information and thinking, my God, Western society is really in bad trouble. But there's a lot of information out there, and some of it ill-informed.
Yep.
And you need to be able to separate what's correct. I mean, some of it to a degree is correct, but some of it is not. So I called in to see my mother, and she was flicking on the TV, flicking the channels, and she stopped on channel 44. And there it was yourself and Craig. And I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm going, my God, that's exactly what I've been studying for the last 2 or 3 years and doing research for myself, because we've all got family.
But Just to clarify, you're not being paid by Channel 44 to advertise them. This is a genuine testimonial of Channel 44.
Well, I haven't received a cheque yet.
Okay.
So.
So there you go, Channel 44 viewers.
Yeah.
Keep watching it and spread the word.
But then, and of course, on Channel 44, as Craig said and yourself said that day, they were coming to Perth and to hold a meeting at the South Perth Bowling Club. So I went along to that meeting, and prior to the commencement of the meeting, I introduced myself to Craig and said, this is what I'm been looking at, gathering this information, and this is what, and we're in a lot of trouble. And Craig looked at me and he said, yep.
Well, so now you have stepped forward, you volunteered to be our candidate in the Perth by-election. And I know that we've defined a platform for you, but it was defined around Craig saying to you, Barry, what do you want to run on? So what are the main policies that you're running on in this by-election?
The entire financial system's got to be sorted out, and the only way you can do that and separate the criminal activities and goings-on is to separate the banks. There's no other way of doing it. You know, we've heard different governments talk about their ring fencing and that sort of stuff, and that doesn't work. It's been proven it doesn't work. So Glass-Steagall is the only way. There's no other way to do it effectively.
And that's the good description. You're separating out the criminal activity because people have to see it in those terms.
Yep.
And I think you have another idea of how you would handle that criminal activity as well.
Yeah, we've got to bring in national banking.
Yep.
Yeah, and which will put money into the economy, big scale infrastructure spending to create the jobs that's necessary to keep the economy going.
And that, I think that's particularly, I mean, it's relevant for the whole world, but Perth is, you know, the mining centre, and it's, you know, describe what it's like there now since the mining boom.
Big mining, but we're also, we're very far away from everywhere else. I mean, if it wasn't for the mining boom supported by China, I mean, we would have been in a lot of trouble after 2008. And but China, with their own Glass-Steagall and their own banking, full banking separation and keeping the criminality out of the system, enabled them to really have the money to spend around the world to prop the world up over the last 10 years.
That's right. So because China does those things, we get to benefit, whereas we could benefit more directly if we did those things ourselves.
If we did them ourselves, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, well, thanks, Barry. I'll say to the viewers, the Perth viewers on YouTube and Channel 31, Barry's going to need your help for this campaign, right? And again, we have to see whether Malcolm Turnbull pulls a Swiftie and calls a general election. But presuming it's on, it's not about when the CEC runs campaigns like this, we don't get ahead of ourselves and fantasise that we're going to win. But what we can do is make Glass-Steagall such an issue in the campaign that it's completely branded on whoever does win, right, when they go back to Parliament. And who knows, you can't rule out that something extraordinary might happen, and Barry Mason might be the member for Perth in a future, in the next Parliament. And it was pointed out that, I have to say this because it's quite humorous, a lot of our viewers know that the APRA bill passed, the bill that introduced the anti-Glass-Steagall policy of bail-in, right, passed our Parliament without a vote, on the voices in the House and on the voices in the Senate. And the discussion we just had this morning is, who knows, we might get Glass-Steagall passed the same way. Wouldn't that be ironic?
On the voices.
On the voices. Yeah. Now, you can bet your bottom dollar it won't happen because the system is geared against it. No. But never give up hope that we can actually achieve this. We're not doing this for just because it's, let's have a try at something good. Yeah. We can win this, right?
Absolutely.
So we need your help in Barry's campaign. Barry's going to need your help to get involved. The contact details of how to contact Barry are on the screen right now. So contact him on email or on telephone and get involved in Barry's campaign. So Barry, thanks very much for joining us. We'll take a quick break now. When we come back, Craig Isherwood will join me and we'll talk about the latest developments in the financial system.
It's easy for things to go wrong around water. More so if you can't swim.
It's great seeing kids confident in the water and enjoying themselves. An important part of keeping kids safer around water is learning to swim.
There are over 600 registered swimming schools that run the Australian Unity Learn to Swim program. To find one, go to the Swim Australia website.
I had the boys over for a barbecue the day before our final. Anyway, Steve rocks up, no beer, and he brought his model girlfriend. He was showing off, going on about how he kicked the winning goal in the semis, you know. I must have gotten a bit distracted and I put his steak on the same plate the raw meat had been on. Anyway, we lost the final. Steve had to go off sick during the game. I mean, it's not my fault. I mean, who brings their girlfriend to a bloke's barbie anyway?
Show Me the Way creates the first social networking sites for Australia's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students. With secure online mentoring, Show Me the Way supports students to complete their schooling and continue to TAFE, university or vocational education. Show Me the Way connects students with e-mentors from corporate Australia. With secure online mentoring, Show Me the Way supports students to complete Year 12. To donate, visit showmetheway.org.au.
Welcome back to the CEC Report. Sudden density of warnings of financial crash. And Craig, we've got a bit to talk about, but just quickly, what's your reaction to the news that Glass-Steagall is going to be introduced?
Oh, Robbie, it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, we've been campaigning for this for so long. You know, sometimes you can't believe it's happening, but look, this is a reflection of the seriousness of some people taking what's taking place in the global financial crisis, which has not been solved. So it's surprising in one sense, but not surprising in the other, because
no, it's lawful.
It's lawful.
Yep. And also, before we get in, just to remind viewers, anything we discuss on the show is elaborated in the CEC's weekly magazine, the Australian Alert Service. So call in on our toll-free number to get a free copy of that if you want more information.
I don't think, Robbie, people can fully understand the gravity of what's taking place in the world or the exciting changes without reading that.
Yep. All right. So I want to highlight, Craig, just in the last few days, 3 headlines, right? The first was from the 8th of June Washington Post, and the headline was, "Beware the Mother of All Credit Bubbles," by Steve Pearlstein. And in that article, he wrote this. He goes, quote, "It's happening again. This time it's not households using cheap debt to take cash out of their overvalued homes. Rather, it is giant corporations using cheap debt and a one-time tax windfall to take cash from their balance sheets and send it to shareholders. Once again, they are diverting capital from productive, long-term investments to further inflate a financial bubble. This one in corporate stocks and bonds that, when it bursts, will send the economy into another great recession." And one point I want to make about that, just following on from what Barry Mason said in the previous episode, you know, Australia at the moment benefits from the fact that China has Glass-Steagall, has a productive economy, puts a lot of investments into infrastructure, and we're our raw materials-based economy, which we shouldn't be, but that's all we are. We get to have sales as a result of that, right? So that's what they're doing. The right thing is keeping us alive. Well, the speculative financial system in Australia is also superficially benefiting from what that paragraph just went through in the United States, where they look like they've got a stock market roaring and all this kind of stuff, and it's all fake. But on the back of that fakeness, Craig, the Federal Reserve twits are going, "Oh look, the economy's great, stock market's booming, let's raise interest rates." Well, that's lobbing a grenade into, you know, a fireworks factory, right? And this is kind of what that's warning about.
Yeah, what they're doing, Robbie, is they're taking cheap credit. You know, you've seen all this money being pumped in from quantitative easing, these companies in the US in particular, and they're taking that cheap credit, they're using that internally to then to borrow cheaply to buy back their own shares.
Yeah, not do anything productive.
Nothing at all. So what's happening is there's actually a shortage of these shares. So in terms of companies wanting to invest in actual real companies, there's nothing to the price of these shares is being forced up and up and up and up. And you can look at the insane levels of the stock market. Well, this is what's happening. And this is why the stock markets are overinflated.
A lot of with these executives, Craig, that make these decisions, a lot of their bonuses are tied to their share price.
That's right.
Right? So it's great for them, but they let the economy go to rack and ruin.
See, the idea of shares, Robbie, initially is you have a company, you issue shares to raise capital in order to create profits, and because you're producing something.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not going on anymore. It's actually the reverse.
No, that's
and
right.
that's why this is such a dangerous bubble, is because the debt levels and a large number of these companies is so great that their income no longer covers the repayments.
And when they raise rates, it's already bad. There's about 20% of corporations in America, they call them zombie corporations, where their debt servicing, because they've got so much debt, $5 debt for every dollar of earnings, the servicing on that is more than their earnings, right? And if they raise interest rates because they fool themselves, oh look, the economy's great, that's going to blow that up, and it's going to, 40% of the money that is in, that our banks lend into the property market here, Craig, comes from overseas. That's going to raise interest rates on all those borrowers, and that's going to blow our property market up. Right?
Robbie, this is all part of the overall deregulation of the financial system, the takedown of Glass-Steagall and everything. What's allowed to happen now is that this speculation is considered normal, it's considered legal, right?
Yeah,
derivatives, for
that's the
example,
worst
which
part.
are these things that no one can ever explain, these things were illegal before the 90s. Now they're considered normal business.
They were illegal. The places where they were illegal, remember, they were illegal under the same laws that banned gambling.
That's right.
Because that's all they are.
What happened is now you've got a system which is based on gambling. What's happening with the corporate bonds is gambling. So this is why this entire system is going to come down, because the actual funding of productive activity, long-term investments into manufacturing, into processes that produce more and more goods for people, that's actually disappearing.
All right, next headline. The next two are from here in Australia, Craig. 13th of June, Sydney Morning Herald. Brace yourself. Why the fallout from the next global financial crisis will be much worse. And this is by Satyajit Das, who's an expert in things like derivatives. He used to work at the Commonwealth Bank and other banks, etc. We don't have much time to go through the details of what he's saying, but just to praise him, he goes, this is a quote, "No one can predict how bad the next financial crisis will be. What's certain, though, is that a lack of liquidity will make the fallout much worse." And what he's saying is, everyone's got these lovely bets at the moment, but when they all figure out that, hang on, there's a problem with those, and they think, well, I know that, I'm going to sell, get out of that. Well, by the time they figure that out, everyone else will have figured out the same thing, and there won't be enough people to sell them to.
That's right.
Right? It's called liquidity. And when you have a contraction like that, that's like 1929, 2008 all over again. And then the final headline is from the Financial Review is an Australian financial crisis on the cards by Patrick Cummings. And this is also from the 13th of June. And he is quoting Capital Economics Chief Australia economist Paul Dales, who's produced a new report, quote, "Is a financial crisis looming?" And Dales says in his report, "Economic history shows that there is usually a consequence of a prolonged period of rapidly rising debt. The only question is, how bad will the consequences be?" And then he elaborates more. He goes, "There's always a chance of something horrible happening." And he's emphasising the property market in Australia, right? "There's always a chance of something horrible happening, but the risk of a bad outcome has risen due to two things." And he points out that house prices in Australia are now falling, and that's going to catch a lot of people out. And the way he puts it is there's significantly tighter credit conditions because of a lot of this is being blamed on the Royal Commission. All the Royal Commission has done is make banks start following the law, right? Because it shows you that the bubble we built, a lot of it was based on illegal lending. And the combination of those two things, if they can't find excuses to keep flooding the system with their kind of fake credit, then you're heading for a crash, right? And when you see this, that's what the reason we called this segment density of warnings. That's what people got to see. There's a density of warnings now, right? This is the reality in which we have been pushing so hard for Glass-Steagall. It's what makes it urgent.
Yeah, Robbie, the last global financial crisis was caused by collateralised debt obligations, these CDOs.
Yep.
The new one is collateralised loan obligations. And these CLOs...
Oh, what's the difference?
Well, there's no difference, and that's the point. These CLOs are they're being sold through, massively at the moment.
Yeah.
This is the same scenario as prior to the global
And the next one will be collateralised IOU obligations, because I'll just keep coming up with synonyms for debt, but it's the same thing. Okay. Thanks. When we come back, let's take a break. We're going to talk about the good news of the week, North Korea and Trump.
crucial to every child's development. An important message from the Australian Toy Association.
Had enough of the bad news about carbon dioxide and climate change? Wood is one solution. Trees take CO2 from the air and store it in their wood. They're also renewable, unlike concrete and steel. But the wood you choose should be recycled or from certified plantations or forests. This helps protect areas of high conservation value. So next time you're building or buying something, make it wood and do your world some good.
Take it from me, one punch can be lethal. Thrown in anger like this, without warning, without any gloves, it can be deadly. One punch can end his life and ruin yours. It takes grunt to throw it, it takes guts to walk away.
Welcome back to the CEC Report. Finally, Kim and Trump take great step down pathway to peace. And Craig, this is seriously good news. Yeah. You wouldn't necessarily know it from the professional media, the professional political class, the way their cynical commentary on it. The CEC's headline for the Australian Alert Service this week was, "Where there's a will for peace, there's a way." Because what actually ended up happening is Donald Trump, not Kim, he had already done it. Donald Trump removed the obstacles for peace because the biggest obstacles for peace were actually on the American side. And apparently, we were briefed this morning that since the early 90s with the Clinton administration, there's been a standing offer that the North Korean president would meet with an American president, and every president has refused because, oh, no, that'll give legitimacy. We decide who's a legitimate regime and who's not because we're America, and that gives legitimacy to it, so we're not going to do that. Trump's the first guy to come along and say, stuff that, I want to solve this problem, I'm going to meet with him, right? And the result has been brilliant. Trump has been described as a wildcard president who breaks the conventional rules. And what that allowed him to do was cut the Gordian knot here. Mainly, the big thing he said was, we're going to end these military drills. And those are very provocative. He called them provocative. He admitted that have been stopping it. So some of the cynical commentary is, how can we trust North Korea to keep its promise? But more thoughtful people have said, well, hang on, North Korea, you really got to say, well, how can North Korea trust the United States to keep its promise, right? Like they just scrapped the Iran deal, for instance. And that's where there is actually, even though Trump was the one who scrapped the Iran deal, there's an answer to that. And Trump has said so, and Mike Pompeo, his Secretary of State, has said so. They want this to be a treaty. They want it as a treaty, right? And if this is a treaty that America's Congress has to ratify, it can't be changed, right? So that's where the assurance is going to come from. I want to highlight two things that Australia has done, though. Right? Our Foreign Minister has weighed in on this just in a speech overnight. And this is the kind of thing that's going to sabotage this, right? So she's basically said the only thing that brought Kim to the negotiating table was the excruciating pressure of the sanctions, etc. We can't trust them at all. And she said, I would not be lifting my foot off the throat of North Korea until I saw very concrete steps that this time they were genuine. Well, that goes against what Trump has himself said. Right? He's changed his attitude on that. Australia's still pushing the other side. So that's the kind of thing that's going to be sabotaged. We should not let our government get away with that. But Craig, it's worth reporting. This is a good news thing, and I want to end this segment on a humorous development.
Yeah, no,
right?
That's very good.
Because back in the UK, the foreign minister there, Boris Johnson, saw Trump's success and he was overheard saying, maybe we should get Trump to negotiate Brexit. And so Jeremy Corbyn, who is also like Trump, an outsider, right, and who would also genuinely make changes, etc. This is not that important what he did, but it was quite funny. It's worth seeing. He asked Theresa May a question about this in Parliament. So just have a quick look at this video.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister met President Donald Trump last week, did she do as the Foreign Secretary suggested and ask him to take over the Brexit negotiations?
So these developments are enjoyable at the moment, Craig.
Look, Robbie, very good news, and they're hilarious from Theresa May. But look, people need to get involved in this process. They need to support Barry Mason's campaign. Look, his details are on the screen now. But people also need to read more about this by getting a copy of our Australian Alert Service so they can fully understand everything that's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, the details are in there. So we've run out of time. Thanks for joining us, Craig. Thanks for tuning in to this week's CEC Report. Tune in next week for more.
Live stream from Melbourne each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
I'm Lynn Strauss, chairman of our organization, the Metropolitan Transit Authority. It's the first anniversary of our combined tram, train, and bus system in Melbourne, known as the MET. 12 months ago, the MET was established to operate and plan the three modes of public transport. It was the government's intention to ensure that the traveling public got better service and that we as employees could feel a sense of pride in the work that we carried out. I can tell you, we're on the right track. Along with the new trains, we're changing the face of our stations. The famous clocks of Flinders Street will stay, but Melbourne's pride and joy is being updated. Outside, the famous facade has been cleaned and painted to bring it back to the way it was when it was first built. Bus services are very much a part of the total transport system. and in Box Hill, St. Albans, Ringwood, and Moorabbin, schedules and facilities are being reviewed in conjunction with community groups to better serve the neighborhood transport system. Apart from Aussie rules and the Melbourne Cup, there's nothing more closely associated with Melbourne than our famous trams. In the past year, we've made moves to improve them, not the least being the construction of 2 new classes of trams. In the first major change since 1975, the A-Class and the articulated 2000 series are being finished at our Preston workshops. They'll set new standards in spaciousness, safety, and ease of operation. Reflecting the integration of all modes of transport, the livery of our trains, buses, and trams is progressively being changed. With each new vehicle delivery, the Met color scheme, green and gold, is becoming more and more visible. And that Met symbol is not just a fancy design, but a representation about what we're all achieving. An integrated transport system for Melbourne, about people, you, moving people. Thank you for giving me your time and helping to make it happen. Oh, and happy birthday.
Moving Melbourne, moving Melbourne on the roadways, moving Melbourne on the tramways, moving Melbourne on the railways, moving Melbourne our way, the next way. Me and the Nets, we're moving Melbourne. Get the Met to get around.
Okay, Sarah, I'm going to order some pathology tests to see how everything's going.
Half the Australian population had a pathology test last year. That's you or someone you love. 100 tests are performed every minute, delivering vital medical information. From the moment you are born, your healthcare depends on pathology tests. 70% of medical decisions rely on information from pathology tests. Pathology is the engine room of healthcare. One small sample can reveal millions of insights all about you. Pathologists are your doctor's doctor. 25,000 people work to provide doctors with the answers they need to treat you. Australian pathology is world class. We may never meet you, but we see each of you as part of our family. Every minute, 23 Australians find out more about their health.
Good news, Sarah. The results show that everything's okay.
Pathology provides peace of mind.
I rely on Australian pathology.
Sign up online to support Australian pathology.
They say there's a chance I could die in a car crash. Maybe even from heart disease. Maybe even skin cancer.
I could die in a work-related accident, or I could die in a fight.
The fact is, the biggest cause of death for men in my age group is suicide.
Please don't let this happen to me.
You can do something. Lifeline believes that suicide is mostly preventable. Help us save lives. Find out what you can do at lifeline.org.au.
MELfeed Video is about to close operations for tonight, but we'll be back with you next Wednesday evening. In the meantime, here is a selection of programs that will be seen on our next scheduled web stream. You are welcome to visit our website at MELfeed.video for further details of this project. Until next time, from all of us at MELfeed Video, we wish you a very good night.